FBI says Collierville police officers were conducting a traffic stop at the corner of Poplar Avenue and Schilling Boulevard. During that stop, police say the suspect in this case was Anton Booker, attempted to grab one of the officer's gun. That's when the officer fired his gun, striking Booker. Booker later died at a local hospital. The TBI says this remains an active investigation, and of course we will keep you updated as we learn more. In Collierville, Tavarius Haywood, Action News 5.
Do you remember after the end of the school year last year, third graders, there were a lot of parents across the state of Tennessee in a panic that their third graders would be held back because of reading comprehension, TCAP scores, and proficiency levels not up to state standards. Well, there may be an issue once again at the end of this coming school year because it's now, those third graders are now fourth graders, and again, there is a reading comprehension test that they have to pass. Let's talk about this issue and much, much more with Laura Testino with Chalkbeat Tennessee. Chalkbeat Tennessee is a nonprofit. They focus on education all across the state of Tennessee. Laura, good morning to you. Am I saying that right? What am I missing in your article? Good morning.
Yeah, hey, good morning, Andrew. Thank you for having me. Yes, so there is going to be, not only for the third graders again this year who are new to third grade, new to this law across the state, there's still some of this aspects of this law that will impact fourth graders. And so just to kind of remind everyone what this law is, it was passed in 2021 by the legislature. We're at this point, right, kind of still maybe in the throes, maybe on the way out of the pandemic at this point. But the idea was, right, we're going to have learning loss from students who, have not had the most consistent education experience throughout the pandemic. And we really want to focus on early literacy, which tons of education research shows is linked to several good outcomes for students. And so that's kind of what lawmakers wanted to achieve with this. And like other states implemented this retention measure that they said, okay, if we're not seeing success in early literacy by third grade, we're going to suggest that these students be held back so that they can get to proficiency. But the way that this law is set up, there's lots of different pathways to essentially getting supports. And so what ended up happening at the end of last year, well, we had 60% of students across the state of Tennessee, so that's something like 43,000 students, ended up not making that proficiency mark on the TCAP test that they take every year, which for many third graders, it's the first time they take a standardized test like this. There were several exemptions and support measures built into the law such that only 1% or less than 1,000 students across the state of Tennessee were ultimately retained. But by fourth grade, the law basically says we want to know for sure that these support measures have worked. And so there's this measure that the law calls for that's called adequate growth. And the state school board just approved last Friday what that measure will look like. And it will actually apply to about 12% of students in the fourth, or who were third graders last year, fourth graders this year, who've been doing things like tutoring or went to summer school. And this measure basically says we want to see if you're not reaching proficiency on this test, we want to see that you're reaching a very specific measure of growth and that you're making progress towards being proficient on this test. I can talk a little bit more about that, but that's sort of what we're going to start seeing here as testing ramps up for the spring.
Okay, Laura, I follow you so far. And just so our audience knows, last year when there seemed to be a panic among parents of third graders, there were, I think, around 60% or so that were in danger of not moving on to the fourth grade. But in actuality, it was it like less than 15% that were held back, or even less than that, right?
That's right. Yes, I can go through that just one more time. But 60%, I know I saw I froze a little bit, and so I hope the audience can catch this. 60% were at risk for being held back just based off of their test score alone. But again, this law, while it has the retention component of it, is also really focused on getting students supports for reading so that they can progress. And so essentially only 1% of students were held back in third grade across the board. But what we're seeing now that we're talking about with this new measure that is going to happen in fourth grade is essentially the story wasn't over at the end of third grade for these students. They were going to summer school, they were going to tutoring, and so now about 1 in 4 of the students who initially tested at risk are going to have to pass another measure to avoid being retained in the fourth grade. And while we've talked about now a lot of the different pathways that third graders can have to, even if I'm not making the grade on the test, I can go to all of these supports in the fourth grade, or I am exempt for certain reasons. There's not as many pathways once you're in the fourth grade and you are really required to make this adequate growth measure or test proficient on the test. There's not as many pathways to get to fifth grade with the same type of supports. And ultimately, it just would kind of end in retention for these students and not being able to go to fifth grade.
So, Laura, I feel like it's going to be history repeating itself. I mean, here we go again, same type of situation where they have to pass a certain standard or else. I mean, do you see that happening once again in your best educated decision?
For fourth grade, it will be that smaller subset of students from third grade. Third grade, of course, will kind of be the same story as last year, and depending on the parent and the school's familiarity with the law, you could see different outcomes of how surprised people might be at the initial set of test scores or not. But the interesting thing that came out of the Tennessee State School Board meeting on Friday, where they passed this provision that essentially came up with a formula that said, individualized to each student, here's how much we want to see you grow toward proficiency if you're not quite there yet, is the board took an interesting stance and said, hey, the law actually allows us in the same breath to apply all of these rules and policies for laws. It also says that we can serve as an advisory to the legislature. And so a resolution was floated by one of the board members there that would essentially say that the state board could come up with some proposed changes to this law. This state board, includes education administrators, even a previous fourth grade teacher, that would maybe put more of these supports in earlier grade levels and take a different look at these retention pathways in ways to the next grade. So the board meets again on March 4th, where they may see those resolutions. And there's certainly, in addition to this board, pushback from other educators, some school board members in different districts to really reconsider pieces of this law. Of course, the legislature's in session now, so it is possible that there could be changes, but of course, whether to be seen up to be seen whether those could really take effect for this year's third or fourth graders, or if it would again only impact future third and fourth graders.
Yeah, we're almost into March right now, just about a week or so away, and here we go again. Anything else? We have thousands of people that watch us here on the Digital Desk, Laura. You know that. Anything else we want to mention before we let you go with regards to this story?
Sure. Story and other reporting is, of course, on chalkbeat.org. But just for parents out there, I would just say, really make sure that you're in touch with your student's teacher. Even in first and second grade, there's some just kind of testing benchmark points to understand whether this law might eventually apply to your child in third and fourth grade. And for those in third and fourth grade, just really keeping in touch with the teacher, really kind of paying attention to when this TCAP test is going to be, and making sure you sort of understand the outcomes, and that if you're not proficient on that third grade test, that doesn't mean immediate retention, but just understanding, depending on which pathways you take, there could still be this outcome in fourth grade where, if you're taking a certain pathway, there's still another test. And so just, being sure that you're involved with your students' education is the best way kind of to understand how this might impact you.
Laura Testino, always giving us a deep dive into so many education stories across the state and certainly affecting so many of us here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Thank you very much for your reporting. Chalkbeat Tennessee, certainly a great nonprofit that covers education across the state. Laura, thank you. Let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about the CDC right now because it is releasing a report here that says that 1 in 5 people suffer from depression in the U.S. Depression rates are higher among women and young adults. COVID-19 pandemic, of course, took a toll on our mental health. I'm joined now by Cami Harris, a board-certified physician assistant, to talk more about this issue of depression in the U.S. And I'm hearing, Cami, good morning to you. I'm hearing that October is National Depression and Mental Health Screening Month, and nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults have been diagnosed with depression. That is a huge number. What else does this survey say? Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me, Andrew. So, more or less, it just lets us know how common that depression is. I think it's fair to say that everyone under the sound of my voice either knows someone or they themselves have experienced depression. So then what does depression look like? Well, depression could look like crying spells, feeling guilty, having trouble eating and sleeping. This patient is hopeless, and it's a problem.
It sounds like it, Cami, and it's an awful situation. And I guess one of the few benefits, and I say very, very few benefits of coming out of the pandemic, is the fact that there is more of a focus on mental health and mental health awareness and watching for those signs. And the mental health hotline out there, 988. Let's talk about treatment-resistant depression. I've never heard that term before. What is it, and what are the treatments for that?
Sure. So treatment-resistant depression is when a patient fails more than 2 antidepressants. If you know anything about psychiatry, it's not that hard to fail 2. As far as options, in my clinic, I see nothing but treatment-resistant depressive patients. And I've been using Spravato, which is an S-ketamine nasal spray that works differently in the brain than any other antidepressant. And that's why it was important for me to partner with Janssen to let you guys know about it. But also I want to let you know that, like with any medication, it comes with side effects and risks. So you want to reach out to your healthcare provider.
Okay, we have, Cami, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Action News 5 digital desk. If there is someone out there that is struggling, or perhaps they know someone that's struggling with depressive symptoms, let's talk about the options that they can take.
So the first thing I would say is reach out, get help, remain active in your care, partner with your provider, believe that you can get better. And also, if you happen to feel suicidal, you may text or call 988. And then finally, for more information on treatment-resistant depression, you can visit Spravato.com.
Okay, what other solutions are there for some of the patients that you see?
I love that question. So here's some things that you can do in addition to getting help with medication. One thing I would say is keeping a positive mindset. And I know that that's easier said than done, because if you're depressed, it's hard to stay positive and think things will get better. The second thing is making sure that you incorporate therapy with medication. The evidence tells us that therapy plus medication improves overall outcomes. And my favorite, which I call the secret weapon, is exercise. Exercise actually increases the body's natural antidepressants. So those are things that you can do outside of medications.
You know, something else, Cammie, that we've talked about here on the Digital Desk, because this is a common topic, you know, mental health awareness, depression. Exercise always comes up, having good and healthy social circles, of course, and then getting out in nature. You know, when you get out in nature, you can't help but calm down and feel better, and getting that breath of fresh air. Of course, that goes hand in hand with exercise. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I would just want to encourage anyone that's suffering from depression to know that it's real, it's not their fault, and they can get better. So don't give up hope.
All right, Cammie Harris, board certified physician assistant. We appreciate your conversation this morning, and tips, ideas, signs, symptoms when it comes to depression. Thanks very much.
As you stick with us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, we've got a very special guest here joining us this morning. Dr. Sharif El-Nahal, with the Secretary for Health for the Department of Veterans, has some really important information that many vets could need. So if you know a vet, you are a vet yourself, you're definitely going to want to listen to this next interview. So I'm going to bring Dr. El-Nahal on. I hope I'm saying your name correct. How are you doing?
Perfectly. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I understand there have been some changes, some expansion when it comes to health care for veterans. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So we're really excited for millions of more veterans qualifying for VA healthcare as of Tuesday, March 5th. If you were a veteran who was deployed in the Gulf War or any of the post 9/11 conflicts and missions, to include Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, New Dawn, and more, in Iraq, Afghanistan, or anywhere in Central Command, you will qualify for VA healthcare as of Tuesday, March 5th, regardless of whether you have a condition associated with your service in the military. On top of that, any veteran who is exposed to a toxin, including burn pits, Agent Orange, but also other pesticides, herbicides, air pollutants, jet fuel, nuclear materials, and more, will also qualify for VA healthcare, even if they weren't deployed at all in the global conflict. And so that amounts to millions of more veterans who will qualify for VA healthcare as of Tuesday, March 5th, and we're prepared and ready to serve even more veterans with excellent care.
Dr. El-Nahal, can you also talk about just how significant this change is? You're talking about millions of veterans. What else is this going to do for them?
This provides them healthcare access for life, everything from primary care to mental health, but also emergency room care, hospitalization, if you need it, telehealth, and really any care that you need. VA will be there to provide it for you. And by the way, VA care happens to be higher quality on average than the civilian sector, proven over and over again through research, but also the overall CMS hospital quality star ratings, where more than 2/3 of our hospitals score in the top 2 ratings, compared to only about 42% of the private sector. And also, we have 172 medical centers, more than 1,000 clinics ready and willing to serve you no matter where you live across the country. So really excited to be able to extend our incredible healthcare workforce and their services to all of you.
Can you again touch on the types of toxic exposure and the risk activity. How are you guys going to determine that, and who is eligible for all of this?
So if you're not enrolled for VA healthcare yet, when you apply and let us know that you think you are exposed to a toxin, we will look at every data source that the Department of Defense has to make sure that we catch a record of that exposure. And the good news is they have a very comprehensive database called the Individual Longitudinal Exposure Record, where service members have all of their exposures recorded. So we're going to be able to get directly from that data source the information we need. On top of that, we're also screening millions of veterans across the country by asking them directly if they've been exposed. And then we crosswalk that with the information that the Department of Defense has. And so multiple ways that we're doing this, but if you tell us you were exposed to a concerning substance, we will do everything in our power to confirm that.
Dr. Elnahal, if a vet doesn't know if they were exposed, or if they're just unsure at this point, should they still be applying for this VA care?
Yes, they should, because even if they don't tell us about an exposure, we're going to be checking that system for an exposure if we don't see evidence of it in any other source. And so we're going to do everything we can, but also just by having been deployed to any of the post 9/11 conflicts, the Gulf War, we've now been offering healthcare to any Vietnam veteran who is deployed since the fall of 2022. If you were deployed in a foreign conflict, chances are you qualify for VA healthcare now. And we really want you to apply, even if you don't necessarily think you have a specific exposure.
Really good information to know this morning. What else are we missing? What else do you want vets to know as they watch this?
President Biden knew that we were enrolling more than 500,000 veterans into VA healthcare since he signed the PACT Act into law in the summer of 22. And he wanted to make sure that we accelerated eligibility to all of the new cohorts that we're activating on Tuesday, March 5th. Remember that the law initially called for a phased-in approach over the next 10 years, but we wanted to get these services to veterans now. And that's why we have all of these new doors opening into the VA healthcare system in just a few days.
All right, pretty good critical information, really critical info for our vets. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Dr. Sharif Elnahal with the Department of Veterans, really appreciate it today.
All right, there was a headline that grabbed our attention here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Amanda Hansen and I looking at this headline, 5 reasons why America is headed for higher energy costs and less reliable systems, and how we can all stop it. This is coming to us from Southern Gas Association. We have the CEO of the Southern Gas Association, Susan Ogle, joining us on the digital desk to talk more about this issue. Higher energy costs, less reliable systems, and more about natural gas. Is that right, Suzanne? Good morning.
It is. Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. It's scary when you talk like that, right? I mean, as we think about just a year ago, as we had Elliott roll through and you had rolling blackouts and kind of a scary power situation, it's important to make sure that we have the reliability and energy that we can afford.
Yeah, I'm looking at essentially looking at the idea of where we're seeing more and more people having rolling blackouts during winter or rolling blackouts during summer when it's extremely cold or extremely hot. So how do we combat against this in a realistic and effective way?
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. It is important. And really, it boils down to the community having a very good understanding of energy and how the energy system works. I think there's really 5 pillars around how you want to think about your energy system. You want it to be reliable. You want it to be resilient so it can bounce back. You want it to be environmentally friendly. You want it to be affordable. And so, unfortunately, what happens many times is communities are led along by well-intended legislation that doesn't have a very thorough understanding of the energy system and how important a diverse energy mix is and with your resources in your system. And now TVA has a really nice mix of resources, but natural gas really plays a very important role in that. And it's certainly a solution to providing that assurance of reliability and affordability. And that's not only for your consumers that are in your houses, but it's also for your commercial. You know, Tennessee has a very large commercial opportunity there. You're a hub, a logistics hub, and lots of tourism. And so you want to be able to attract business to your area as well. And that requires low, affordable energy prices as well as a predictability of energy. And so ways that we can do that is to understand how the energy system works. SGA is a training organization. We have members that are in the Tennessee area as well. But one of the things that we do is we try to talk to the community to help make sure that they're getting the full perspective of how do you keep your energy system reliable and affordable. And that is, like, again, I said, having a diverse mix, but also having this base load. So one of the things about natural gas is that it is able to come on demand. And so that really helps provide and balance the system when there's a stress on the energy system, whereas the renewables don't have the ability to do that. And I want to be clear that I'm all of the above energy person, so I believe all those sources count, but you have to really be informed on how to use those sources and how to integrate them. And when you get politicians begging for you to have or asking for 100% renewable, they're not really planning logistically on how that's going to happen. And then with an increased use of EVs, or for instance, say you have an increased use of heat pumps that actually operate less efficiently when you're in a very cold situation, that presents an additional demand on electricity. And a lot of your electricity is coming from natural gas.
So much of our area, Suzanne, is gets its power, its energy from TVA. How would this perspective affect TVA and how we get our energy today? I mean, how different is it?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, TVA does a really good job of thinking about your energy mix. Like I said, you guys have a very diverse portfolio of energy in your resources. They're turning into natural gas more and more so that you can reduce your emissions and clean up the energy and provide the assurance of energy that you need. But one of the challenges is that there's a restraint in investment in natural gas pipelines, which you need to bring into your area. So as consumers in the area or as businesses in the area, getting a thorough understanding of what legislation is in place that might restrict that assurance of supply or to help keep the costs low is important.
What about lowering our utility costs? I mean, everything seems to be going up, and I know that's, it's maybe indirectly related to this, but it seems like it's always related. Everything's going up. We just had an increase with some of the electricity in our area. How can we bring down costs?
Yeah, so, let me just say that you guys have some of the lower costs that are out there. So there are states that are a way worse situations than you. Think about California or New York. And a part of that is making sure that the energy that you're getting is, part of it is the subsidies that go to renewables, right? And so as you integrate those renewables, you have to have additional sources to back them up, and that increases the cost of energy. And so there's policies, I'm sorry about the cough. There's policies and there's making sure that you can get all the sources of energy at one time and being aware of where that instrumental and incremental cost is, because you want to make sure that it's equitable for all the consumers and all the businesses.
Okay, Susan, I'll give you the last word. Anything else that you'd like to mention with regards to this that you'd like the people in Memphis, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee to know?
Yeah, I would say it's it's a team sport, right? To have an adequate supply of energy, to have it be affordable, everybody has to be working together. You can't have people going in a polarized way, and that is happening right now across America. So we have to be really careful that we understand the conversations that are happening and what the nuances are behind those conversations. And then we work collaboratively rather than pointing fingers at each other to make sure that we are getting the assurance of supply and at an affordable price that you can count on.
Okay, Susan Ogle, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much. It's certainly a conversation that needs to happen and begin and continue as well. So appreciate your time, Susan. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We in Memphis are blessed to have such an amazing medical community and always very active, whether it's St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Methodist, Le Bonheur, also Baptist Memorial, and Regional One Health. And the oncology at Regional One is a department that is always doing new and interesting things to help the treatment of cancer. I'm joined now by a medical oncologist with Regional One, Soren Choksi, to talk more about how they treat cancer patients. Good morning, Dr. Choksi. I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Can you tell us what kind of patients you see in your practice? Is it just the run of the gamut cancers, or is it a specific kind?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so I specifically in my practice treat patients who have GI cancers, but a medical oncologist can treat a whole host of cancers, whether that's solid organ cancers, such as breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, or blood cancers, such as leukemia, lymphoma, or multiple myeloma. Here at Regional One, our providers are academically trained and subspecialty focused. And so we have a physician who does lung cancers, another physician who does breast cancers. I myself do GI cancers and the like. And so our cancer program is a very comprehensive kind of focused multidisciplinary program.
So I'm curious, are there different chemotherapies or different therapies, I should say, that are specifically designed for specific cancers?
Yes, so the treatment of cancer has come a long way in the past few decades. No longer do we rely simply on traditional cytotoxic chemotherapy, and by cytotoxic, I mean medications that really affect all cells of the body. We have more advanced modalities to treat cancer, including immunotherapy, which uses the body's own immune system to fight the cancer, targeted therapy, so agents that target specific mutations, and then more advanced cellular-based therapies, things like CAR-T that you and your viewers may have read about or heard about.
Yes, I certainly have heard about it. So we have thousands of people that watch us on the digital desk each and every morning, Doctor. Let's talk about perhaps that first visit that you get when a patient arrives at your office. What are some of those first questions you ask or the patient should ask themselves about the possibility of having cancer?
And so that first visit with the medical oncologist is the first step on their cancer journey. And what they want to know is what type of cancer do they have? How extensive is the cancer? And that specifically is the stage of the cancer, meaning is it an early stage cancer, stage 1 through 3, or is it at an advanced stage, such as stage 4? They should also ask about what are their treatment options. Will it involve just the medical oncologist that's treating them? Will it involve other specialties, such as our radiation oncology colleagues or our surgical oncology colleagues? And then lastly, they should ask about what are the goals of treatment. And this is probably the most important aspect of a physician-patient relationship, in that what is it that the patient hopes to get out of treating the cancer? You know, unfortunately, there are many cancers that are uncurable, and the treatment is aimed at controlling the cancer, stopping its spread, stopping it from affecting vital organs, and to maintain the patient's quality of life. So all of those are important aspects of that patient-physician relationship.
You just mentioned it. All of it is very important. Is there any one that's maybe more important than others? I hear a lot of times how a patient's attitude is truly everything. If they come in defeated, or if they come in determined, it can make a world of difference. Is that the most important aspect? What's your idea?
Yeah, that's a very important point. I'm sure many physicians have anecdotal stories of how patients' mood impacted their overall outcomes. I think the most important aspect is having a realistic conversation and goal when you meet with the oncologist in terms of what will be the goals of the treatment. And it's great to have hope and to be optimistic, but we know that cancer care can be quite challenging, to put it mildly. And so if patients and their providers are on the same page as to what they're trying to achieve, then I think patients are overall satisfied, and it brings satisfaction to the family as well.
Is lung cancer the most commonly treated cancer in this area of Memphis and the Mid-South?
Yes, so for men and women, lung cancer is the most common cancer. After that, for men, it's prostate cancer. For women, it's breast cancer. And then third most common is colon cancer. And, those trends have been kind of stable to rising over many years due to the risk factors that lead to those cancer developments. So tobacco abuse, lifestyle decisions, and other exposures.
Well, you got thousands of people watching right now, Doctor. Is there anything you want to say to Memphis and the Mid-South about your practice, about the treatment available here across the Mid-South, and what advice you have for someone perhaps that's been newly diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah, so, the Memphis area in the Mid-South historically has had marginal or poor outcomes from a health perspective. And our team here at Regional One and University of Tennessee Health Science Center is aimed at kind of bridging that gap and closing that gap between the health outcomes. What I would say is, for someone who has a concern for a cancer or a new cancer diagnosis, is involve your healthcare team early. Talk to your primary care doctor or your medicine physician. Get that referral to a specialist that's going to help do that first step in diagnosis, whether it's a lung doctor or a radiologist to get the initial imaging done, whether it's a urologist for prostate symptoms or a GI doctor for GI symptoms. And then once you do see your medical oncologist, have an honest and realistic discussion about what the goals of therapy are. And then that oncologist can discuss all the options and give the support to the patient, to their family, so that the cancer journey is meaningful. And it's meaningful not only from a cancer treatment perspective, but meaningful to the patient, because we can talk about this all day, but ultimately it's the patient's life, it's their patient's own diagnosis and journey, and we're there to support them as fully as we can.
I appreciate that. One more question before we leave, Doctor. Cancer research is constantly evolving. I don't have to tell you that. I mean, you know that. Is there anything that maybe would be preventative steps that people can take that prevents cancer? I know you can't prevent all things and all cancers out there, but is there maybe one or two things that you could point and say, hey, listen, don't do this. It will drastically reduce your chance of getting cancer. One of which is smoking, right?
Yes, you nailed the hammer on the nail right there. So smoking has links to many cancer types, not just lung cancer or head and neck cancer. There are a number of cancers that are linked to tobacco abuse. So one simple change, and I say it's simple, but I know it's quite difficult for those who've been smoking for many years, is cutting back on the use of tobacco. It'll not only lower your cancer risk, but it'll help lower the risk of other cardiovascular complications such as heart attacks, heart disease, strokes, and a number of other conditions. Specifically in my field for GI cancers, we know that our diets have an impact on the health of our gut. And so diets that are rich in fatty foods, high fat foods, red meats can increase inflammation in our body. That inflammation is what leads to the development of cancer. So anything we can do to help lower that inflammation, such as eating more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, increasing our fiber intake, and increasing exercise can help lower the inflammation and lower the risk of cancer development. But, as you mentioned, there are some cancers that carry a genetic risk, that carry a familial risk, and there are just some cancer types that we can take all the best precautions that we can and still, unfortunately, be diagnosed.
No question about it. Dr. Soren Choksi, a very thorough interview, and I appreciate you being open and honest and very thorough, I should say, in a lot of your responses. I feel like, people watching this interview in its entirety, they will learn a lot about not only cancer, but how it's treated and the latest information coming out of cancer research. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We know about our record sky-high inflation. April is Financial Literacy Month, and we are trying as Americans to figure out new ways to save money because gas prices are going up, grocery store prices are going up, everything is going up. And we're just trying to maximize each penny that we earn as much as possible and find those creative ways to save money. So joining me right now to talk about this is Ron Griffin. He is the Senior Director of Public Education and Advocacy for Experian. Good morning. How are you,
Good
Ron?
morning. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Okay, good to see you. So let's talk about advice that you have for Americans who are just trying to save more money or at least make that dollar go further.
Yeah, we just did a survey and found that 3 out of 4 people are trying to find ways to save because of inflation and the impact it's having on their wallet and their pocketbook. So we found that a quarter of the people in our poll were looking at whether they should even pay their auto insurance bill that month in order to pay other things that they might have to, like rent or utilities. So saving money is critical, and they're looking for ways to do that.
So let's talk about credit score, because I know that credit scores can impact the cost of more than just loans. Tell me about that.
Sure. Yeah, credit scores and credit reports are used in virtually every financial decisions. So we know about credit cards and car loans and mortgage loans, but we don't think about things like auto insurance, for example. The auto insurance companies will look at your credit report to help them determine whether you can pay your insurance premium on time each month, which is sort of like a loan payment each month. So saving money on that auto insurance premium can be dependent on having good credit scores and also in finding the best rate. So one of the things that we're trying to help people do is find lower premiums through our auto insurance shopping service that we've just introduced. We're finding that when people visit Experian.com/save, they're saving as much as $900 a year. That can help make a bit of a dent in the cost of insurance. So help you put gas in the tank. But taking care of that credit report, getting that credit report, knowing what's in it is really important as well. You can get a free report once a week at annualcreditreport.com. So you can look at it as often as you like. Won't hurt your credit scores, but could help you know what you need to make them better.
So Ron, I know you talk with a lot of people. You talk with various consumer advocates and financial editors. You talk about different ways to educate others and ways to save and manage their personal finances. If someone's coming to you and let's say they're on a fixed income and they can only spend a certain amount of money, we have this sky-high inflation that's going up and up and up, and it's at a 40-year high, and there's no end in sight. What are some of the first steps you tell people immediately to do to just kind of stay within budget and save as much as you possibly can?
Well, I think you hit the big B word. Make sure that you're budgeting. If you don't like to budget, make a spending plan. Kind of the same thing, but if you do what works for you, but know where your money's going first and what you have coming in. From there, you can begin to figure out what you need to do and where you can save, as well as where you might make improvements. The second step is get the credit report. Consider enrolling in a monitoring service where you get a score each month, like Experian offers. It's free, and that will tell you what you need to do to make those credit scores better. And as we were just talking about, if you can improve your credit scores, it gives you the ability and empowers you to negotiate better rates, perhaps get lower interest rates, better terms. So gives you an advantage. So take advantage of those tools. Use your credit history as a financial tool. I always tell people the credit report is a financial tool. Debt's the financial problem. So use credit to your advantage and take control of those finances. And it can seem hard to do when you have limited income, but using those tools available is what's really important.
What about resources, Rod? What resources are available to help Americans improve their overall financial health?
Sure, and there are a lot of them out there. Experian offers a lot of financial education programs and resources. You can find information at Experian.com. My first role with the company, I've been there 25 years, was to write something called Ask Max, which is now Ask Experian. It's a credit advice column and financial advice post and blog now. So use those kinds of resources. You can turn to lots of other organizations, government agencies. CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has great information. There are organizations that work with schools like the Jumpstart Coalition for Financial Literacy that has a clearinghouse of resources that could be good for kids and adults. So visit the jumpstart.org and their clearinghouse and talk to your lenders and others. Use your banking apps. There are many places that can help you get the information you need to make better choices and to understand what you can do to become more financially healthy.
You were named Educator of the Year by the Institute of Financial Literacy, Rod. You mentioned the first thing you need to do is create some sort of budget. After that, what else can we do? What are some of the first things you tell people and really kind of educate them on their financial well-being?
Yeah, when you have a budget, you know where your money is going and you know what's coming in. That's the first thing that's empowering. A budget isn't a barrier, it's a tool to help you actually take control and own your finances. You want to own the money, you don't want it to own you. And so using that budget gives you control. Another thing that I suggest is if you're having trouble and need help, visit a good quality nonprofit financial counseling service. They're there to help. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have big financial troubles. They can work with you to make better decisions, understand how the money you have works, identify options for repayment. The NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, is a great place to start, nfcc.org. They can help you really look at your overall financial picture and determine what is best for you and the best approach. When it comes to paying down credit card debt, That's really the number one thing that you can do to help your credit scores the fastest. There are ways to approach that. There's some call it the avalanche method. Some use a snowball method. I don't know why snow in wintertime is the analogy, but one is take the highest interest rate card you have, start to pay it off. The math says that will save you the most money in the long term. My concern with that is it can seem like you're not making much progress. It can take a long time and you might get discouraged and give up. We don't want that to happen. So the alternative is maybe take a credit card where you have a low balance, pay it off, and when you pay that card off, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. Also gives you a bit more you can put toward the next card, and then pay it down as well. Paying down your credit cards is going to help your credit scores. It's going to reduce your debt. It's going to reduce your financial stress. So a really important place to start, and the thing that most affects scores the fastest for people. So do what works for you is the thing that's most important. You have to stay motivated. You have to stay focused and have to stay engaged. If you get discouraged using what the math says will work, if you give up, it's not going to accomplish what you need it to.
Well, Ron Griffin, we appreciate it. Very informative. You are the experienced Senior Director of Public Education and Advocacy. Thanks so very much. Appreciate the time.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight heading into your day on Tuesday. That could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we can see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, with temperatures that will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots. Now the Rome a possibility, and of course back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds, so it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures that'll be generally in the 70s. South breezes coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. We'll give you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday, and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
But right now, I want to talk about how we, as humans, as people, as men and women, how do we look and feel younger? Don't we always want to try and look and feel younger? Of course we do. Well, there is a brand new book I'm holding up right now. It's Younger for Life, and it's written by someone that is very big in today's world, whether it's online, whether it's in his profession, or whether you perhaps have seen him on TV or a podcast. I'm talking about Dr. Anthony Youn joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. He is a holistic plastic surgeon. He has some 15 million followers. And Dr. Youn, I really appreciate you joining us on the Digital Desk. I heard you on a podcast last week with Dave Aspen, and I heard you talking about this book, and my wife was so excited to hear that I was talking with you. First, can you just talk about what a holistic plastic surgeon is? Because I know that there's some viewers out there that have no idea what that means. Good morning to you.
Good morning. So yeah, I am a traditionally trained plastic surgeon. I went through 4 years of medical school. I did residency and surgery as well as plastic surgery. And I realized as I had gotten into practice for many years that what I was doing was wrong. And the goal of being a surgeon has always been to bring people to surgery. But I realized that my goal should be the opposite. It should be, how do I keep people out of the operating room, yet help them to look and feel their best? So as a holistic plastic surgeon, I use plastic surgery as a last resort.
That sounds fantastic. And then looking at your book, Tony, do you mind if I call you Tony?
No, it's totally fine.
Perfect. And so this book is Younger for Life, and it's feel great, look your best with new science. And it's a new term that I'm learning about when I flip the pages, autojuvenation. What exactly is that?
So autojuvenation is the fact that your body contains immense regenerative abilities to turn back the clock naturally, but you have to unlock it by giving it the right tools and the right environment for it to do so. And so it focuses on 5 main things that you can make simple changes to. These 5 main things can make huge changes in your skin and your overall aging. And that is what you eat, when you eat, nutritional supplements, skincare products, and non-invasive treatment. So by focusing on these 5 things, I think the vast majority of people can turn back the clock naturally and not feel the need to have to go under the knife.
Tony, what about the very first thing you should do if you are in your perhaps 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, and you want to start today, or 2024 is going to be the year that you try to look and feel younger? Where do you begin?
The first place to begin is always what you eat. That's the hallmark, the number one thing you want to focus on, because what you eat is going to truly impact your skin in major ways. And so eating healthy sources of protein, like pastured pork and chicken, grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, our skin is composed 70 to 80% of collagen, and that collagen is protein. And so you need to fuel your body with healthy sources of protein in order to keep that collagen up. Second thing I encourage people to do is eat the rainbow of colorful fruits and vegetables. These contain antioxidants which fight the aging process. And on the opposite side, you want to decrease the amount of ultra-processed foods that you eat. These are foods that don't look anything like their original, what their original plant was made out of. And so a Twinkie is ultra-processed because it doesn't look anything like the plant that it originated from. And then the final thing is to reduce the amount of sugar that you eat. 20% of the calories of the standard American diet come from sugar-sweetened drinks. And so reducing soda pop, energy type drinks, and even fruit juices can be very beneficial to your health and to your skin as well.
Is there an optimal age that we can start looking younger? Is there a certain age that we say, okay, here's where you need to start, because if you start beyond this, then we run into some issues?
Well, it's actually never too late to start. And that's the great thing, is we have had people who have done the Younger for Life diet. They have done the 21-day jumpstart from the Younger for Life book. And even in their 70s, and have found significant changes in the quality and the health of their skin, and looking actually 5 to 10 years younger. So, do you need to look younger when you're in your 20s? Well, when we're in our 20s, our skin tends to look great anyway. But anytime after that, you can really see significant changes by making these small changes in those 5 main things.
How do we jumpstart the rejuvenation process?
Well, one very simple way you can jumpstart it, in addition to changing the diet, is to get on a very simple but effective skincare routine. And so I have something in the book called the 2 Minutes 5 Years Younger Skincare Routine. It takes just 2 minutes a day. You start by cleansing your skin in the morning. Then you apply an antioxidant serum like vitamin C, and then a sunscreen at least SPF 30. At night, you want to start by cleansing your skin to get rid of the day's worth of grime and makeup and dirt and oil and pollution. And then you want to apply a retinol. Retinol is a derivative of vitamin A, scientifically proven to help fight that aging process and to actually thicken the collagen of your skin. Finally, you want to exfoliate your skin once or twice a week, utilizing a gentle scrub or an alpha hydroxy acid type of peel. That's a great way to kind of jumpstart that process. You make those changes to your food. Ideally, you even take a collagen supplement every day, and that can also impact the collagen of your skin and help it look and feel younger.
Where do people make the most mistakes? If they come up with the same attitude, a great attitude that says, okay, I want to look younger now, I want to feel great, look great. Where do they go wrong, Tony?
Well, we see it kind of in some ways falls on gender lines. So men, where they tend to go wrong is they just don't do anything. They wash their face with bar soap, they don't use sunscreen, and they don't do anything preventative until quite a bit later in the game. With women, it's almost the opposite. Is a lot of women, they do too much to their skin, and they're using so many products with fragrances and unnecessary ingredients that they start breaking out and they get irritation of their skin. And so really going down to that basic 2 minutes, 5 years younger skincare routine that I give in the book that I just explained to you, that whether you're a guy who's not doing enough or a woman who's doing too much or anywhere in between can really, really help to jumpstart that anti-aging process.
I hear so many times about collagen, and I've been off and on with collagen. I hear so many people saying it doesn't really work, it doesn't help, it's snake oil, so to speak. You mentioned collagen just a minute ago. Give me your thoughts on collagen.
Yeah. So yeah, collagen is a large protein, and the argument against it working is that it's such a large protein that your body, has to break it down in the stomach, and how do you know it's even going to get to your skin? Well, the fact is that the collagen supplements that you want to take are hydrolyzed collagen peptides, where they take that large collagen protein and they break it down into individual amino acids or groups of amino acids called peptides. That makes it bioavailable so that you can actually absorb it. And there are a ton of studies that show that taking a hydrolyzed collagen supplement can improve the collagen of your skin. They've even had people take it for 2 to 3 months, and they've biopsied their skin afterwards and have found an increase in the amount of collagen in the skin. So the science is definitely there. If people say the science isn't there, honestly, it's just that they haven't looked for those studies, because there are a ton of them some of them with over 1,000 participants.
I take several supplements, Tony, but if you had to name the top 3 that people should take each and every day, if you had to name 3, or maybe you have a greater list, maybe 5, what would be the ones that would be on that list?
So the 5 that I recommend people start with, and this is all in the book, is number 1, the collagen that we mentioned, a daily multivitamin because nutrient depletion is real in our food. The next one would be an omega-3 fatty acid supplement, fish oil if you're a carnivore. If you're a vegan, then there's great algae-based omega-3 supplements. And then I would recommend a daily probiotic, at least 3 billion colony-forming units. And then finally, an antioxidant supplement, ideally one that contains a variety of antioxidants like resveratrol, because this can fight the oxidation process, which is one of the main causes of aging of our bodies.
This is fantastic. I feel like I'm in social media, Instagram, YouTube, something like this. This is great, Tony. Anything else that you want to mention that we haven't talked about that you feel is important for our viewers? We have thousands of people watching us right now.
Yeah, one of the things that I recommend people consider trying is just a little bit of intermittent fasting. So we tend to eat food constantly throughout the day, and actually it is healthy for our guts to take a bit of a break. And by taking a good 12 to 16 hours where you're not eating food, you can actually jumpstart the process of autophagy. And this is intracellular renewal. Works great to turn back the clock naturally using autojuvenation.
I love it. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I do this all the time at work and during the week especially. Listen, Tony, I really appreciate it. Again, the book, I'm holding it up right now, is Younger for Life, written by Dr. Anthony Yoon. We really appreciate you taking the time this morning. Thanks very much. Congratulations on the book and your social media prowess and everything else. I look forward to seeing you online. Thank you.
Please tell your wife I said hi.
Well, thank you for joining us back here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We've got some things to chat about and another special guest joining us. We've got Carly Knobloch. I'm sorry, Carly, I hope I am saying your name right. You'll correct me here in just a few. But Carly's joining us to talk about some home trends. Now, you are a tech lifestyle expert. Just talk to me about the trends that we are seeing in 2024.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And you did get my name right. I appreciate that. I partnered with a few brands that made news not only at the show this year, but right here in the new American home with almost 8,000 square feet of luxury overlooking the Las Vegas skyline here. It showcases energy efficiency, cutting edge innovations, and of course, great design that homeowners want.
And so you were talking about this builder show that just happened, of course, like you said, over in Vegas.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about this show for folks who are not familiar with it. What happens there? What takes place?
Well, it's just everything that's going on in the world of home building, renovations, kitchen and bath design. It's an incredible hub for just inspiration and seeing, what the latest trends are in all of the above. So it's really fun if you're looking to remodel any part of your home or you're building a new home. You just get so many great ideas.
Okay, I love all of this because I spend many, many hours on TikTok looking at all the home renovations and people flipping houses. I love this stuff. So let's talk about the innovations inside the home. What are we seeing when it comes to that?
Yeah, well, the heart and soul of any home is the kitchen and laundry as well. So let's start right here with Signature Kitchen Suite's 48-inch built-in French door refrigerator. It's drop dead gorgeous and comes in either stainless steel or panel ready options. Your groceries can really stretch out, and everybody loves this French door style. But the big story here is all about the tech that keeps your food fresher longer with precise temperature control. It even has a unique convertible drawer to keep everything from deli meat to seafood fresh, or it can be turned into extra freezer space. Now let's talk laundry as well with the LG Wash Tower. It's got great features and style in half the floor space. The washer detects fabric texture and load size and gets smarter with every load. The dryer is massive and uses innovative heat pump technology to recycle heated air, using half the energy to dry each load. Plus, it's ventless, giving you so many more installation options. I love how sleek the design is, and that you control it all from this easy to reach center panel. No need to get up on a step stool. And then both of these appliances, by the way, are Energy Star rated, so they fit right into this net zero home.
Okay, well, that leads right into what I was about to ask you about when it comes to heating and cooling your home. I know here in the Mid-South, we see temperatures fluctuate, but what are we seeing when it comes to that?
Yeah, 43% of a home's utility costs are from heating and cooling. So that's a lot of cash each year. Choosing an efficient system is really critical. This home features LG's heat pump HVAC technology, which moves heat from one place to another using natural heat sources to provide both heating and cooling. It's a smart alternative to conventional HVAC because by using electricity, heat pumps can make your home more comfortable and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which saves you money and also helps out the environment.
Carly, let's talk about securing the home this morning. What should folks be looking at when it comes to that?
Yeah, something we don't think about often is upgrading the doors in our home and how that can make a huge impact on security. The new Masonite Performance Door System with M-Protect multi-point security lock can give you real peace of mind. M-Protect is 4 times stronger than a standard deadbolt lock, so much easier to use than most multi-point locks, and has the highest level of security and impact resistance. Plus, there's tons of options for door colors, finishes, and hardware, so you can get the perfect combination for your home, including smart locks.
One other thing, Carly, for folks who are just getting started, if they've never done a home reno project, any advice for how to get started?
Well, I just started a home renovation of my own, and I cannot tell you how much peace of mind I get from really enjoying working with my contractor. So I think before you choose anything, you really want to get with a partner, if you need an architect or a contractor that you really trust, that you really like working with, that you feel like really is giving you the attention you deserve and giving you the quality that you're going to want to have in your home for a lifetime. So that's the first step, I think.
Awesome advice. Well, Carly, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Our lifestyle expert with all the important info you need to know as you get ready to make some changes inside your home. We appreciate you talking with us this morning.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Obesity continues to be an epidemic here in the U.S. It certainly is an epidemic here in Memphis and the Mid-South. In fact, if you look at the U.S. as a whole, nearly 40% of our population is considered obese, and the U.S. has the highest obesity rates among all nations in the world. Memphis ranks as second most overweight city in the country. Let's talk more about the obesity epidemic and ways we can bring that down. I'm joined now by Regina Goulder. She's a nurse practitioner with Methodist Medical Group. Regina, thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about the obesity issue here in Memphis in the Mid-South. How bad is it? I just mentioned it's number 2 in the U.S. Do you have another number that really kind of translates how bad it really is?
So unfortunately, this has been an issue with Memphis being in the top 5 cities in America for over 10 years. This is something that we are trying to work on. We've developed information and apps, which we'll talk about later in this interview, of ways to help Memphis get healthier. We're trying to change ways of eating habits and logging your eating habits and getting this in control so that Memphis can move down on that list. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that make this harder for Memphis, and low income. That's harder. You don't have access to the foods that can help you be more nutritious. Also, unemployment rates. We know that that leads to obesity too. So between the low income and the unemployment rates that we have here, the access to healthier foods and exercise and things like that tends to be more difficult.
What is the definition of obesity? Because some people might just be overweight, others are obese. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, so actually they're overweight. So you go by body mass index, it's BMI, and there's ways to calculate it. You can find that even on Google, ways to calculate your BMI. And it goes by your height versus your weight. Obesity is defined as a BMI, a body mass index, over 30. That is where we consider it obese. Now, overweight is 25 or higher. Obesity, and to give you just a picture, around a 5'9" person, probably around 200, 205 pounds, that's considered obese. We don't think about that because unfortunately that's what we see all day, every day. But that is the definition of obesity, is a BMI, a body mass index greater than 30.
And some of the reasons behind it, I mean, the rise in obesity, it's our sedentary lifestyle, right? But what else?
Yeah, it's our sedentary lifestyle and our eating habits, unfortunately. We know that obesity leads to lots of medical issues, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, lung disease, because you have a decreased lung function if you're overweight. But like I said earlier, it's the access to food and nutrition and the learned behavior. They're not taught. We don't teach enough on how to cut out certain foods that, one, cause weight gain, but also cause inflammation. So we deal with that, which makes a decreased activity level, because people don't want to get up and move because they hurt. But we don't realize that a lot of the foods we're putting in our body cause this inflammation.
We have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Regina, if someone says, okay, I think I might be obese and I want to change that, is there like maybe some bullet points, maybe like 2 or 3 different things that they could start with today to better their life?
Sure. And that's my biggest thing. Start today. It's not an overnight change, and we know that. And everybody should look at that too and set goals, small goals at first, so that they can achieve things. I'll tell you how I usually sit down with my patients and talk about is reducing calories at first. We don't realize how many calories we drink in a day. So I start with drinks. Let's cut out sodas and juices and things high in sugar. Let's start there. Let's increase your water intake and cut that out. That makes a huge small change that they can start seeing things develop and weight loss developing. And then we'll start with, like, I call it a plate method. If you have a meat, a carbohydrate, and a vegetable, make sure your vegetables are larger than your carbohydrates. So we're not cutting everything out and being 100%, I'm going from this lifestyle to this lifestyle. We start small so that we can achieve goals and reward ourselves for achieving these goals so that we can be more successful. I tell my patients every day, if you do a complete 180 and you think today's the day that I'm going to cut everything out and I'm going to start running a mile every day, you're not going to be successful. It just doesn't work like that. It's small, learned behaviors and lifestyle changes in order to keep working at it. And like I said, you set more goals to attain. If you don't attain goals, then people quit. So we have to start with small goals in order to attain those.
WMC, of course, is a proud sponsor of the Healthier 901 initiative powered by Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. It's a challenge for Memphis and the Mid-South to lose 1 million pounds in 3 years, but it's a lot more than just weight. Healthier 901 offers a number of different tools and resources for people out there. Can you go through a little bit of that for our audience?
Sure. So I'm super proud of this. This is a great initiative by Methodist in order to try to help Memphis lose weight. Like, it's a free app, like you mentioned, on your phone. You can download it. It helps you, one, connect with other people in your area that have the same goals as you. That's very important, to be able to talk and converse with people who are trying to do the same things, because we're all going to have frustrations, and it helps to do that and communicate with others. It also has where you can track your activity. So you're seeing what other people are doing too. We're starting small, we're working up. Log your calories. I talked about calorie reduction. That's very, very important, and it's an easy way to start. It also has tips, healthy tips. So to help you get on that diet journey and more nutritious eating. I say diet very minimally because we want to be more nutritious. And then, just like I said, it just helps keep track of your overall health, your weight, and your BMI. All of that is accessible on the app.
It sounds great. I know it's a great resource and tool for people out there. Anything else you'd like to mention before we let you go, Regina?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is to know that this is not an overnight change. Multiple people struggle with this. This is not something that you're singled out with. Talk to your primary care provider. They have plans. They have meal plans. They can sit down with you and discuss for you and your weight, what is a healthy calorie reduction diet? What should you cut out first? Because we all have different health needs. So sitting down and finding a primary care or discussing with your primary care what the options are is a good way to start to get the process rolling. You can have more energy. You can feel better overall. You can sleep better. There's so many benefits of getting healthy and weight loss all in one.
Regina Goulder, nurse practitioner for Methodist Le Bonheur Medical Group. We appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Very effective conversation here about ways to start losing weight today. Regina, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, another gorgeous look outside from our Midtown High Five camera. Look at that. That's nice. 64 degrees, 838. Your forecast in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight heading into your day on Tuesday that could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we can see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, but temperatures will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots. Now the Rome a possibility, and of course back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds. So it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures. They'll be generally in the 70s. South breezes coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. I'm giving you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night, into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday, and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Did you know that more than 6.5 million Americans live with an autoimmune disease that's called plaque psoriasis? The condition affects the skin. It causes plaques, itchiness, flaking, and many people confuse it with other conditions like eczema. The disease can be physically and mentally debilitating, isolating, with a lot of misconceptions. Well, let's clear all that up right now. On the digital desk, I am joined by Dr. James Song. He's a dermatologist, and also Marjorie, who's decided to tell us about her experience in her personal journey living with plaque psoriasis. Good morning to you both. I appreciate you being here on the digital desk. Doctor, I want to start with you. Can you briefly tell us what plaque psoriasis is and the symptoms involved? Good morning.
Yeah, so plaque psoriasis, it's a chronic autoimmune condition that leads to chronic inflammation in the skin. And common areas that are affected include your scalp, elbows, and knees, but even the nails and skin folds. And we know symptoms can range from itching, which is the most common, but also burning as well as soreness, especially when your skin starts to crack and bleed, which we typically see on the hands and feet. And pretty much all age groups are affected. You could be young, you could be old, as well as all skin tones. And so if you are more fairly complected, psoriasis can often look more light pink to red and scaly. Whereas if you have more color in your skin, it can look more purplish gray or even hyperpigmented. And then for many of our patients, winter is a tough time. Psoriasis does tend to flare because it gets drier, colder, lack of sun. These are all known triggers for psoriasis.
I appreciate you informing us about this. I want to ask Marjorie for a minute. If you can, Marjorie, tell me about your personal journey and how the disease has affected you.
Well, I have had psoriasis for 4 years now, and it greatly impacts me because my psoriasis is on the palms of my hands mostly and on the tops of my hands. So the things that I love to do most are baking and cooking, and I have to wear a latex gloves so that I can continue to do that as much as I like to. And come springtime, I'll be wearing my gardening gloves all the time while I'm outside in the garden because it doesn't matter if it's a small job or a big job. It's the fact that I have to keep my hands protected. But I think the most important thing for me is going up to someone I'm meeting for the first time and offering my hand in a handshake and knowing that my skin is very dry, sometimes scaly, and that this person can feel that. It's embarrassing.
Marjorie, I appreciate you opening up to us about your personal journey. I want to go back over to Dr. Song for a minute. And if you could tell me, Doctor, what's the cause of plaque psoriasis, and what's the difference between that and eczema, and maybe the common misconceptions of it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of misconceptions, Andrew, one of which you mentioned, that is eczema, right, which is a different entity. It's due to a different part of the immune system. It presents differently as well. But also, is this infectious? Is this contagious? And those are not, any of those are right. It's actually due to chronic inflammation of your skin from your overactive immune system. And that's why Margie and I are here actually on behalf of Amgen, because we want to dispel some of those misconceptions and raise awareness that this is due to an overactive immune system that makes your skin cells grow much more rapidly than they should. And that's why it looks red, thick, and scaly.
Is an overactive immune system, is that a good thing?
It's, there's checks and balances to everything. If you get sick, of course, we want your immune system to turn on so that it could address that infection. But once that infection or whatever trigger is gone, your immune system needs to turn off. And if it doesn't, then it starts to cause damage to parts of your body, including the skin.
I see. Okay. Doctor, let me ask you one more thing. How can people with plaque psoriasis manage their symptoms? And I understand that it is a much bigger deal in the winter months.
Yeah, so in the winter months, like you mentioned, it could flare. And so we want to make sure basic things like lukewarm baths, using a gentle cleanser, and using a moisturizer that's compatible with the skin on a regular basis. A lot of people are using topical medications like creams or ointments, and they may temporarily relieve some of the symptoms, but they oftentimes are greasy, they're messy, they're hard to do consistently, and they're not actually treating a root cause of that inflammation. And so my recommendation is if your topicals are not enough, talk with your dermatologist and see if an oral option might be a better option.
Marjorie, we have thousands of people who watch us here on the Action News 5 digital desk, and perhaps some of them may have plaque psoriasis. What would you tell them?
I would tell them the first time you see, excuse me, the first time you see something on your skin that is unusual, and if the itching is unbearable, make sure if you don't see your primary doctor, see a dermatologist, and they can tell you if you have eczema or whatever it might be causing your problem, or psoriasis, and then work with that dermatologist to get to a good spot for yourself.
Okay, Dr. Song, where can people go online for information about plaque psoriasis?
Yeah, one recommendation here is a trusted source, www.somethingdifferent, so all one word.com. Some additional information on psoriasis, as well as alternative treatment options that could be available for everyone.
All right, Dr. James Song and Marjorie, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so very much for illuminating us to this issue. We appreciate it. We talk about all kinds of kidney disease awareness and kidney health, but I want to ask you, do you know anything about autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease? Well, this is called ADPKD, and it is a rare genetic condition that causes cysts to form on the kidney. It affects their ability to function, and ultimately it leads to kidney declining and the need for dialysis or a transplant. So this is so important to really kind of bring up the idea of kidney health. And to talk more about kidney health, I am joined right now by a 5-time Olympic gold medalist. You know that you recognize her. This is Missy Franklin on the Action News 5 digital desk, world-class swimmer, joining us this morning to talk about kidney disease and awareness and how her own family has been affected by it. Missy, first off, thank you for joining us on the digital desk here. I'm excited to have you. Tell us about your swimming career first off, because I know we are an Olympic station here. We've seen you, we've rooted for you, cheered you on. Tell me what you're doing in the pool these days.
Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all, and for all that cheering. I definitely heard it. So I feel so fortunate looking back on my swimming career. I was able to compete in the 2012 and 2016 Olympic Games. I have 5 gold medals and a bronze, and I did retire in 2018 due to injury. And as hard as that was at the time, it gave me more time and energy to focus on other areas of my life that I'm passionate about, and especially was able to make me shift my focus and passion to my family, which is the #1 priority in the world for me.
I understand that completely. Congratulations on what a successful career you had in the pool as a swimmer. And again, 5 Olympic gold medals. That is something to be proud of. So, Missy, let's switch gears here and let's talk about kidney disease, specifically ADPKD, and why you hold it so close to your heart.
Yes, absolutely. So you did a beautiful job of describing what ADPKD is. So I won't touch too much on that, but it is a genetic condition that affects the kidneys. And it is particularly important to myself and my family because it runs in my father's family. So my father was diagnosed along with some of his siblings, as well as one of my grandparents. It is a hereditary disease. So I know that each child of a parent with ADPKD also has a 50% chance of inheriting it themselves. So we've been on quite the journey with my father and with my family with this disease. And he really started to decline in 2019. And it was around early 2022 that we started looking for a living organ donor for my dad.
How can you tell us how the symptoms manifested itself? Was there something that was clearly not wrong that you guys could tell right away?
Yes, well, thankfully, we were able to get his diagnosis very early. So we were actually able to get his diagnosis before the symptoms really set in. And that is a huge part of our messaging and what I'm here with Otsuka America Pharmaceutical Inc. to discuss today is those conversations of family health history. And they're so important if you can talk to one another, your family members, about any genetic diseases that might be in the family so you can detect them as early on as possible. We know that early detection makes a big difference. So we had an early detection for my dad. And then once it progressed, I would say one of the biggest things for him was his fatigue. And that was really hard to watch as his daughter was just how tired he was all the time, the 3-4 hour naps that he needed to take every single day just to get through the day. And that was very tough on both myself and my mom, who was his primary caregiver.
I bet that is a big deal. It certainly impacts her and the whole family. So tell us how your dad's doing now and what you've learned throughout this whole journey, Missy.
Yes, absolutely. So in August of 2022, my dad did successfully undergo transplant surgery. We did search for months for a living donor because he was on the organ donation list, but those can sometimes be years of waiting. And we learned the day of the surgery that my dad's living donor was another Olympic gold medalist in swimming. Her name is Chrissy Perham. We did not know her beforehand. She was a perfect match for my dad and did this out of the goodness of her heart. And both my father and Chrissy are doing so well, and Chrissy is now a part of our family. And throughout the whole process, I think I learned really the importance of disease education for those who might be affected by ADPKD or another kidney disease, understanding the hereditary nature of it, and just being conscious about being an advocate for my own health. So now I work with my doctors and nephrologists to carefully monitor my kidneys and overall health.
What a fantastic story. I mean, what are the chances another Olympic gold medalist or, Olympic swimmer or Olympian, I guess I should say, helps out your family? That's amazing. So we have thousands of people that are watching us right now, Missy. Each and every morning they join us here on the digital desk. If someone has kidney disease that runs in their family or, they're concerned about it, what would you tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we believe that every patient's and family needs are different, but I think that discussing health history with your family is such an important conversation that every family should have. And so I would just encourage anyone whose family has a history of ADPKD or other kidney or genetic diseases to stay proactive, speak with your doctor about different ways to identify kidney disease. And Otsuka America Pharmaceutical Inc. has an awesome resource to learn more. You guys can go to adpkdquestions.com, and that would be an amazing resource for you if you are looking to learn more about this disease.
I understand you live right down the road from us. We're in Memphis, you're in Nashville. What else can you tell all of your fans here in the Memphis Mid-South area?
I have to say, we've been in Nashville for about 2 years now. I'm originally from Colorado, and I do miss Colorado, but I love it here. I've been so blown away by the kindness of the people, the beauty of the nature, how active everyone is. It is just incredible. I really feel like I'm at home here, and I'm just so grateful for that.
Well, we're grateful for you joining us on the digital desk. Missy Franklin, 5-time Olympic gold medalist, champion, world-class swimmer. Thank you so much for not only giving us an update on you and your life, but also talking about the importance of kidney disease awareness and your fight, your own fight and battle with it, your family's fight, I should say. Thank you so much for talking with us, and God bless you and your family. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
There he is. What's up, man?
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight heading into your day on Tuesday that could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we can see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, but temperatures will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots, not out of the realm a possibility. And of course, back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds. So it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures. They'll be generally in the 70s. South breeze is coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. I'm giving you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night, into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday, and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
There are so many studies these days that link your dental health to the overall body health. So in other words, there is more and more studies that say if you are not healthy in here, you're not going to be healthy in mentally or physically. And so it is so important to teach proper dental care from the very beginning for some of our youngest all the way up to our seniors out there. Let's talk about children's dental health right now. I'm joined by Mead Moore, pediatric dentist, on the Action News 5 digital desk. I appreciate you joining us. So tell me how much of an issue this is here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for inviting me here. It's not just a problem here in Memphis, which it is, but it's also a problem nationwide. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 56% of kids between the age of 6 and 8 have untreated dental caries. And that's a huge number. And it can be reduced by parents taking care of their kids a little bit better and getting professional consultations early. I like to see kids as early as 1 years old to check their enamel, ask parents about how they clean their teeth. It's a big problem, and there's nothing worse than a child having a toothache. It's really devastating. They can't eat, they can't sleep. Sometimes they can't even go to school. It's a real problem here in Memphis too.
Yeah, I understand that your offices are in Germantown. Tell me about your clientele when it comes to, because you're a pediatric dentist, what do you see the most in terms of problems that some of the children's teeth have?
The biggest problem is that parents are not diligent enough to keep the teeth clean during the day. For example, I'm recommending to parents clean the teeth at least twice a day, especially, most importantly, before they go to bed. A lot of kids get tired, they get whiny, they're not cooperative, they want to go to bed, they're tired. Well, I recommend to parents, go ahead and clean their teeth with a toothbrush, or there's a product called Spiffy's, which is a wet wipe for parents to wrap around their finger and then wipe it over the gums and get the gums clean, get the teeth clean before they go to bed. Or start brushing the teeth earlier. You have to brush the teeth before they go to bed because the plaque builds up quickly. Plaque has bacteria. Bacteria secretes acids, and acids hurts the gum tissue and forms cavities.
You know, I think there are a lot of misconceptions out there, Doctor, and I'm sure you see it in your practice almost on a daily, if not a weekly basis, where people's misconceptions about dental care for children. Oh, they have baby teeth, they're going to be fine, or, hey, you don't need to worry about this until their permanent teeth come out. But it's about habits, right? I mean, explain some of the misconceptions out there.
Yeah, this is a real big misconception. I can't tell you how many times we hear the sentence, well, they're just baby teeth. Why do I need to fix them? Why do I need to spend the money to fix them? If you've ever seen a child that has extensive decay and even infections, abscesses, their faces are swollen, they're hurting, they can't eat, they can't sleep. It's a real tragedy. And like I say, there's so many kids out there that have untreated caries that it's really surprising in this day and time that this is happening. So you have to be diligent about teaching your kids how to brush early and clean their teeth all the time. I don't have any Coca-Colas or colas at our house. We just don't drink that because it's really bad for your teeth. But people really have another misconception about how bad potato chips are. Fritos and all the chips that you see in the grocery stores. That's just full of carbohydrates. And you put that in the mouth, you chew it, it becomes a paste. If you don't clean the paste off, if you don't clean the potato chips off the teeth, that can cause cavities as well. It's very strange to see how quickly a cavity can form if you don't clean the teeth and get the carbohydrates and the sugars off. So when I talk to parents, I say, okay, here's what you need to do. If they won't brush, use a wet wipe, a type of wet wipe called a Spiffy's. I don't get any kickback from that. I just know it works for kids. They wipe it off, wipe the plaque off the gums, off the teeth, and that way they can go to bed without any problems developing cavities while they sleep.
So let me ask you this: what about a bullet points for parents out there of young children? What do you tell them in terms of providing the best oral care for your child when you're not going to see a dentist?
All right, first of all, I'm going to back up 1 second and say it's very important for you to take your child to a pediatric dentist at the age of 1 or earlier if you see a problem. Genetics plays a big role in this also. I was just talking to a parent 20 minutes ago. He had terrible teeth when he was a child, and now the child luckily does not have any cavities, but I told him she's prone to it. Be sure and clean their teeth very well. Let the dentist check their teeth every 6 months. In my office, I'll see the children under age 3 for an exam and check their progress and make sure they're cleaning right. At age 3, we start the cleaning process, and by the time they're 3, they're used to the office. They feel like it's a safe environment. The parents come back with the child, and we go very slow. I want to make sure it's not like they're going to the pediatrician's office. They're not going to get a shot at the dental office, okay, in the arm, in the leg, or anything. So I want this to be a safe place, a place they feel comfortable, but they have to clean their teeth at home. Parents have to watch out what kind of foods that they're feeding them, like the carbohydrates, the sugars. When I first got out of dental school, putting the child to bed with a bottle full of either orange juice, Coca-Cola, or some other sugary drink was really rampant, especially here in Memphis. That's gotten a lot better, and that's due to public education. So it's watching what they eat, keep their teeth clean, and flossing. Now, flossing is a really interesting concept. People use a little floss around their fingers, but there's now called floss sticks. You get them at the drugstore, you get them at the grocery store, and they're much easier to maneuver around the child's teeth. So flossing also is very important to start. Around age 3 is what I recommend.
Yeah, I have those, and my wife and I use them all the time. My kids are in college, and so we've done our best to ensure oral health and take them to a pediatric dentist every 6 months. I guess it sounds like children's dental care and adult dental care are virtually the same. It seems like brush twice a day, see a dentist every 6 months or so, and just get regular checkups. Am I wrong with that?
No, that's perfectly right. That's exactly right. When you and I grew up, I was never told to floss. I mean, I don't think I flossed till I was in my late teens. I didn't think that was necessary. I thought it was only to get chicken or corn from between your teeth. It was never told to me that you're supposed to be flossing to prevent decay. And that's the big change in the past 30 years, 20 years. And people are now flossing a lot more. I drill this into all my patients. And the first question I ask the older patients, because they've been with me maybe a long time, I say, okay, tell me about your flossing. How you doing? And they know I'm going to ask that question. And most of them are very sheepish and say, I flossed about 2 weeks after I saw you, but then I quit. Well, I always drill it into the head. Please floss. It's not for my benefit. It's for yours. So flossing it with those floss sticks is great.
One final thing before we let you go, Dr. Moore. There's a big push to eliminate fluoride in drinking waters across the country. Some municipalities have done it because higher content of fluoride is known to damage the body in a number of different ways. Where do you stand on that?
I think fluoride in the drinking water is extremely important. We see a huge difference in the number of cavities kids have if they're on well water, say in Tennessee or Mississippi, versus kids who are drinking fluoridated water in Memphis. There's a dramatic change here. I think the misconception is that you're getting too much fluoride. And then the biggest controversy is, how much fluoride do you need in toothpaste? Do you want fluoride in toothpaste for a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old? My suggestion is a very small amount of toothpaste, no matter if it's fluoridated or not. But I recommend no fluoride until age 3 or 4 when they can spit. That's the key. If they're swallowing the toothpaste, I don't want them to have the fluoride. That can damage permanent teeth and make their stomach upset. So when they learn to spit, that's when you switch over to fluoridated toothpaste. But the fluoride in drinking water is extremely, I can't emphasize this enough, extremely important to prevent decay. And we're so lucky here in Memphis we have that.
All right, Dr. Mead Moore, we appreciate you and everything that you do at your pediatric dentist business there. Thank you so much for giving us an idea and really kind of shedding a light on how you should treat your children's oral health compared to an adult's oral health. Thanks so very much. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Let's talk about some of the trees that are around your property. This time of year, most of the trees don't have anything on them. You know, they look like sticks out there. Well, now's the time to really kind of think about, are trees dangerous? The ones that are close to your home, perhaps you might want to think of removing them so they don't fall in a storm or severe winds that we've been having across Memphis and the Mid-South. Let's bring in right now a certified arborist with Davey Tree, Mike Mabe. He is on the digital desk this morning for us. Mike, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you. So let's first talk about some of the trees that are in Tennessee that may be problem trees if they're on your property. What do you see from your vantage point in terms of your company, Davey Tree, and some of the problem trees out there that could pose a risk if there's high winds or severe storms?
Trees that usually have mushrooms growing around the bases of them, those are prone to failure. In a lot of cases, it's good to have someone that is a professional come by and inspect them. Limbs that are very tight forked have a tendency to break a little bit more. Things of that nature. It's always best to have a real professional come by and check your trees, especially this time of the year when you can see all the way to the top of the tree, as compared to during the summertime when you can see a canopy. So, if you will, you can't see the tree for all the leaves.
Oh yeah, I know that's a problem, and certainly, you know, there's an issue there. A lot of people have a bunch of trees, either on the side or the front lawn or in the back. Is there maybe a guide, 2-3 bullet points that you would tell a homeowner? Hey, if you look for these kind of things, I know you mentioned, you know, mushrooms and that sort of thing. What would you tell them if you had like bullet points?
Broken limbs, limbs that are discolored, have fungal growth on the limbs themselves. If you start seeing more and more limbs breaking off during just the light winds, picking up tree trash in your yard, being smaller limbs and that type of thing, that are continuously breaking off, usually a sign that something else is going on in the upper canopy. Like I said, fungal growth around the base of the tree, hollows, cavities, any kind of vertical or horizontal fractures in the trunks, or when you start seeing limbs that have been hanging there since last year's storms, which we had quite a number of those storms last year. And there's still a lot of dangerous limbs up in the trees that would cause, you know, hazards to people that are walking by, power lines, houses, driveways, that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. There were some severe storms for sure. This time of year, what what kind of calls do you get from your company?
This time of the year, a lot of it is replacement trees, trying to figure out what's going on as far as replacing some of the trees that died last year, having those removed, having the trees trimmed up so they don't have the storm damage in them this year when we start hitting the spring storms that are usually coming up real soon. It's always in that situation best to have us come by and take a look at them. Also fertilization for the trees to build the stronger root system so you don't have the problems with the insects and diseases as the summer progresses.
Yeah, no question about it. I know you mentioned this a little bit, but sometimes it's hard for homeowners out there, Mike, to determine, especially this time of year when we're still, it's still kind of cold out and the leaves haven't sprung yet, to determine whether your tree is just in effect hibernating or actually dead. Is there a quick way to really kind of tell right off the bat?
The buds on the limbs, this time of the year, usually trees start setting leaf buds and flower buds a lot of times in the fall. So you can see the buds out on the very tips of the limbs. If they're not present, usually the limb is dead. Discolorations, fungal growth on the limbs, and those are some really quick things that pretty much anybody can see.
Got it. I know that you are a certified arborist, and I understand that Tennessee Arbor Day is coming up?
Yes, Tennessee Arbor Day is coming up on March the 1st. It's also a good time to start planting trees by then. Tennessee trees, usually it's a good day to be planting trees. Everybody wants to talk about that at that time. That comes up on March the 16th. So it's a really good time to get out there and plant a tree with your grandchildren, your children, and you can kind of watch it grow as a family.
Are there certain kinds of trees that you recommend people plant in our area of West Tennessee, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas?
Yes, around here, because of the soil types and the weather types that we have, oak trees are always a really good choice. Maple trees grow really well around here. They can tolerate the heat, and not Japanese maple so much, but regular maple trees, sugar maples, silver maples, things like that. They can tolerate the heat pretty well. Most of the oaks do tolerate the heat. Magnolia trees, if you want something that's going to be more of an evergreen type tree. Those types of trees grow really well in this area. And then, of course, our state tree, which is a tulip poplar. They grow really well around here. So.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Mike. Well, listen, I appreciate the knowledge, information, very valuable for us. Anything else you want to mention? We have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning.
Well, we would appreciate your call if you do need any tree inspections. Be more than happy to come by and take a look at those trees. If you're questioning whether limbs are dead, that type of thing, we'll be more than happy to point those out to you. And or tell you that the tree's doing fine. Usually inspections from most legitimate companies are no charge. And you can get good estimates from good qualified people when you start looking for certified arborists. That is one of the base things to start looking for. And then also licensing, bonding, workers' comp for the people that are working on your property, not just the owner. Those type of things protect the homeowner themselves also.
All right, Mike Mabe from Davey Tree of Memphis. We appreciate you joining us on the Digital Desk. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight heading into your day on Tuesday that could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we could see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, with temperatures that will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots. Now the Rome a possibility, and of course back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds, so it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures. They'll be generally in the 70s. South breezes coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. I'm giving you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night, into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday, and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. There has been talk about building a new Shelby County jail for years. But now it's a little bit different because there is a proposal, a bill that's making its way in the Tennessee Capitol that has a specific plan in order to fund the jail. Let's talk more about this issue right now with Sam Hardiman, reporter for the Daily Memphian. He joins us every so often on a regular basis here on the Action News 5 digital desk. Lighting looks great, Sam. Good to see you as always on Monday. Tell us about your article. I know that the debate of a Shelby County jail is something that's not uncommon, but this pitch perhaps is a unique one. Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for giving me on the lighting. I'm really working on it and we'll get better. I promise. So my article, which we published on Friday and the bill is scheduled to be introduced this week, is what would happen is, provided it passes the Tennessee General Assembly, is essentially the state of Tennessee would give Shelby County permission to raise the countywide sales tax rate, so the all-in rate, including state and local sales tax, to 10.75%. And so under the conditions of this bill, which is the amendment that I've seen is being sponsored by Senator Paul Rose and State Representative John Gillespie, and that's the one I obtained, would essentially, that bill would only allow the money for this growth in sales tax, this jump in sales tax, to be spent on a new county jail. And it would also have to go to a vote of the people first. So the Shelby County Commission, after this bill were to pass the General Assembly, would then have to vote to put it on the ballot for people to vote on. And then the public would have to decide whether or not to tax themselves, add this 1% on to the sales tax to pay for a new county jail. And even if they did that, let's keep in mind that a key provision of this is that it would sunset. This tax rate would go away, the all-in tax rate after 8 years or whenever the jail's debt was paid off. So this would not be a forever tax that is just added on forever.
Now, there are a lot of skeptics with those sunset type of deals and type of situations. Everyone likes to bring up the wheel tax, which was supposedly a tax in Shelby County that was supposed to be gone after 10 years. It's still around, and it's been around for a long, long time. And then it just sounds like to me, and again, I'm just one person, but it sounds like to me there are a number of different obstacles with this path forward in order to fund the jail, one of which being a 10.75 sales tax throughout Shelby County. I would think the same people who want that new jail don't want to pay for a tax increase, and so something like this might not pass, in my opinion, right? I mean, is that something that you're seeing?
Yeah, so my colleague Julia Baker did a reaction story to the first story we published, and she talked to a good amount of the Shelby County Commission, and there seemed to be among commissioners some widespread skepticism, particularly a sales tax increase could really be palatable for let's keep in mind, this is a population in Shelby County that relatively to the national average, very high poverty rate. Sales tax rates affect those who have the least the most. That's kind of the nature of taxes and regressive tax like this. And so that could be difficult to swallow. So there's not guaranteed that this gets on the ballot, even if it were to pass the Tennessee General Assembly, which it could. And then also to your point, Andrew, I mean, how many times in this community have people opted not to tax themselves? Notably, they did in the city of Memphis raise taxes for public safety, which is really a half-cent sales tax increase in 2019 that's gone to pay for benefits for firefighters and police officers. But when framed for public safety, tax increases have passed in Shelby County, and so it would be very interesting to see.
Are there any other options? I know you spoke to Gillespie, and you spoke to one other. Who is that? Who else did you speak to? You spoke to John Gillespie. Oh, Paul Rose, and mentioned the fact that, okay, here we are. Here's the situation. Are there other options or are there other avenues to get a new jail without raising the sales tax to 10.75%? It is an enormous rate. It's already the highest in the state right now at 9.75, right?
It is, but other cities are at 9.25, and I think, and so it's not crazy. I mean, it would be much higher if you added 1%. And I only reached out to Representative Gillespie after I got the bill and was like, hey, I have this bill with your name on it. And he said, yeah, I'm happy to work on this project, essentially is what he said. I think you can read the rest of his statement at in my story. What I would say is, look, this doesn't seem to be very popular on face value, and it's going to face an uphill battle. But when we've looked at, other mechanisms, right? Like at the end of the day, how many mechanisms do you have from a public financing perspective to get $500 million? I'm not advocating a path forward here. I'm just sort of asking, if you look at the funding streams available to Shelby County, there aren't that many ways to find $500 million. And so a sales tax increase, does it come out of property tax, right? Or are you raising the wheel tax again, which is supposed to be paying for Regional 1 upgrades? And as we see with what's going on with the Shelby County Clerk's Office, we're not even sure how much money that's raised thus far. And so it really does seem, and I wonder, Andrew, and this is just kind of a rhetorical question here, but like, how much does the situation with the wheel tax and the ambiguity that you see with the wheel tax in terms of what's going on with the clerk's office affect that this is the only, and I would have to do some more reporting, but this is the only funding stream being offered for new jail right now, which is a sales tax increase. If that situation was better, would there be another option? I don't know.
Great question, Sam. This is something that certainly won't go away, because I think when you really boil it down to the meat of the issue, everyone agrees, okay, there needs to be a new jail. I mean, there's so many problems with 201 Poplar as it stands right now. It's just, the various options to get a new jail funded and built. And this pitch right now, I just see... I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just see like a very small percentage of this passing all the hurdles in order to make that happen. I'll give you the last word here.
No, I think that's absolutely right, Andrew. I mean, if you look at it just from like the things that have to happen, first, you have to have the probabilities of it passing the General Assembly. Even if you say that's likely, okay. Then the Shelby County Commission has to vote to put it on the ballot. Even if you say that's 55-45, still got to play those two percentages together, and then you got to have the people vote on whether or not to tax themselves. And so those three things have to happen. And to your point, yeah, that's a very small percentage that's actually going to happen for sure.
All right, Sam Hardiman, always appreciated. It's just a good local news conversation that we're having about some of the issues that we need to figure out, as a community, as a whole, in order to upgrade ourselves. Sam, really appreciate it as always, and nice job as always with your reporting. Thanks so very much for coming on the Digital Desk.
Thanks, Andrew. It's great to see you. Hopefully with better lighting next time.
Yes, absolutely. Good stuff, Sam, as always. Thank you. Another shot from our high-five camera. As you can see, the University of Memphis coming off a fantastic victory yesterday. We'll be talking more about your forecast and more news on Action News 5's Digital Desk right after this. Digital Desk. We always like to check in with our friends at Google to see what kind of search trends we saw on any given month. Of course, it's towards the end of February right now. We want to look and see what we searched as a country. And certainly it is interesting to see where things are. We're joined now by Justin Burr, Google Trends expert, to see where we are at the month of February. And Justin, good morning. It looks like a lot of things that were in the news, in entertainment, no matter what the topic. It looks like Taylor Swift certainly made the headlines in more ways than one. Good morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. February, a short month, but a lot of stuff going on. We had the Grammy Awards. So Taylor Swift trending for her musical talent there. She announced a new album, Tortured Poets Department. And so there was big search interest around that. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl. She was also a part of that. So Taylor Swift trending in a lot of categories, a lot of stuff going on in February.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, and I guess the Lunar New Year traditions. That was kind of interesting. And then I see, like, I always like seeing what people in our area searched. Any idea? It looks like Tennessee. What did they search for before Valentine's Day?
Yeah, before Valentine's Day. So there's a few things going on. Let's talk a little bit broader here. So Lunar New Year, which you just mentioned. So in Tennessee, people were searching for red envelopes above decorations and above parade. And if you also look at some of the trends around Black History Month, in Tennessee, people were searching for Black-owned wine above all other products within Black History Month as well, which is a fun one. For Valentine's Day, the most searched date activity for you all was relaxation. So people in Tennessee were trying to gift relaxation to their loved one here on Valentine's Day.
That's a great idea. And it's funny, our meteorologist, Justin, he said Valentine's Day is more like Singles Awareness Day with the acronym SAD. And and he mentioned, and it's so funny that I have, odd news. I always look at the odd news category to just see what people are searching. Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so you mentioned Single Awareness Day, SAD. Also in that category, credit score dating app. That search interest rose by over 600%. And that is literally a dating app that will match people based on their credit score, which is pretty funny. So that was an interesting one. Also, the Curacao and the Cayman Islands were trending as the top solo travel destinations for February. And then also best meal kit for singles. So a lot of single search interest here in February to maybe counteract all the Valentine's Day search interest.
I love it. I've done an interview before, Justin, where this one singles person, he talked about how a credit score is very attractive, a high credit score, obviously. I notice I'm a big sports fan. NBA All-Star Weekend, all kinds of searches coming out of that, huh?
Yeah, NBA All-Star Weekend was great. There was a lot of search interest because Stephen Curry was going against a three-point contest against WNBA superstar Sabrina Ionescu, which was awesome. So a ton of search interest around that, and there was a lot of states that were searching more so for Sabrina over Steph. Steph won by 3 points. So there was a lot of search interest there. It's always a fun weekend to watch the NBA guys, but I think the most fun for me was watching that three-point contest between the WNBA and the NBA.
I'm a sucker for that, too. I love the three-point contest. Anything else? I see something about, is tea good for headaches? Is tea good for working out? Diverticulitis? What's going on there, Justin?
Yeah, there was a lot of tea interest. U.S. search interest around tea reached an all-time high in February, so that's interesting. Also, in the kind of morning drink game, latte perfume. That increased by 2,500% search interest around that. So people trying to smell like lattes, they're trying to drink lattes. I don't know, but somehow February was a big latte perfume month.
Love is in the air, right? Whether you're drinking coffee, whether you're drinking teas, certainly the case. Justin Bird, really appreciate you guys breaking it down for us. All the trends across the country and across the world with Google. Justin, thanks.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Another
Good morning, and thank you for joining us right back here on the Action News 5 digital desk. It is nice and chilly out there, 39 degrees. So we are talking about food and budgeting when it comes to those meal preps. I know it can be pretty tough to meal prep all the time, but that is why we have experts here to talk all about that kind of stuff. And so joining me this morning, we actually have a chef. Jamie Gwynn is here with us today. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us right here on the digital desk. How you doing?
Glad to be with you, Sydney. Thank you. I'm doing well. I think it's so funny. You mentioned how chilly it is, and we're highlighting frozen food. It makes me think of the chill factor, but I'll tell you, this might be far more delicious, guaranteed, than that chilly weather. We're celebrating National Frozen Food Month, and I actually have cost-saving meal prep ideas for you that I think will delight.
Jamie, let's talk about it. Everyone likes to save money. We know inflation's been really hitting those pockets at the grocery store. So
No doubt.
let's talk about the financial aspect of it before we get into all the food I see on your
Sure.
screen.
Into all the goodness, of course. Convenience and affordability are key when it comes to the frozen food aisle. And as a professional chef, I will tell you, I shop the frozen food aisle a lot because it's come a long way. It has evolved. It has become innovative. The nutrient benefits are there because of the extraordinary technology in flash freezing. But when it comes to saving money and saving time, according to a recent survey by the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association, 8 out of 10 parents with young children, of which I am one, finds it easier to have frozen food option on hand at all times. And 64% say that it has helped combat rising grocery costs. Why? Because you're buying more portion controlled. It's limiting spoilage of the fresh ingredients that you might be buying. And there is a brilliant benefit to frozen food with rising, skyrocketing prices. I think that you'll find you're going to get sometimes better flavor. You're certainly going to save time, and you get a whole lot of convenience. So we'll talk about that, but there's no doubt this is a good way to budget.
Let's talk about the health aspects of it when it comes to frozen food. I know sometimes
Sure.
people feel like it's not the healthiest option, but there are ways to make this food healthy.
That's true. I agree with you. But you know what? The cookie aisle isn't always the healthiest option either. I mean, I think you have to know what you're looking for. And I believe in splurge worthy at times. And I believe, everything in moderation. There is a lot of healthy, wonderfully delicious, and fresh tasting food, I would like to say, in the frozen food aisle. It's all real food. It's just frozen. The flash freezing technology, what started as what we call IQF, right? It started with frozen fruit. You pick fresh raspberries, for instance, at the peak of the season, and you freeze them individually quick frozen so they don't stick together in the bag, right? But those are the sweetest raspberries at the peak of their time. If you buy raspberries today in the market, in the produce section, they might not be as sweet, depends on the season, right? That flash freezing technology not only gives you fabulous flavor, but it locks in the nutrients. It's why we freeze fish for texture and quality on the boat. And that same rule applies to the frozen food section. In the freezer section today, you also get pre-washed and chopped and prepped ingredients. So now you're getting the health benefits. You have food on hand that's delicious, and it makes your day easier. It's innovation and versatility.
Hey, I'm all about saving time when it comes to cooking, being at the grocery store, getting home and chopping all that stuff up. So I think that is so
That's right.
important. Let's talk about some of the things that you're cooking. I was on your Instagram page, and a lot of that food looks really, really good. I think I saw some beef
Thank
stroganoff.
you.
That looked amazing.
Okay, that one, I've got to tell you, that recipe is unbelievably good. It's a meatball stroganoff using frozen meatballs. So I can just tell you selfishly, in our house, I have a 4-year-old. Pizza and chicken nuggets will always have their place. But we have other favorite ingredients, and the frozen food aisle has actually been an amazing way to get my 4-year-old to eat more. So Sydney, if you consider, or like to, I should say, eat a more varied amount of foods. if you consider, like, we love frozen pot stickers. I will quickly, saute them so they're crispy on the outside and steamed on the inside with soy and black vinegar. But then what can you do with that bag of meatballs you mentioned, or with the pot stickers, right? Why not make an under 10 minutes easy pot sticker veggie soup? Frozen veggies, peak of the season, frozen. I love the frozen asparagus for spring. And the pot stickers, ginger, garlic, chicken broth. Easy peasy, fabulous, right? Crispy butterfly shrimp into a lettuce wrap with a creamy, lovely sauce. I use my son's favorite crispy chicken in a wrap for lunch. It's out of this world. This is so cool. Why not think about your favorite frozen waffle? We are a frozen waffle family. Super easy for breakfast, right? But I like to fold them and nestle them into my air fryer basket. When they get crispy, they look like a taco. That's a waffle taco. Now we're repurposing that frozen waffle that everybody loves. I filled it with barbecue chicken and a little coleslaw, and my kiddo loves them. Sweet potato puffs, better for you, so delicious. And last but not least, I love phyllo. It's crispy and flaky, and I filled it with ricotta and frozen berries that I use to make a compote. It's just that good. The freezer aisle, the frozen food section, is limitless. So please check it out. Go to easyhomemeals.com, by the way, for these recipes.
Well, it sounds like the frozen meals, the freezer can be your friend, is what I was trying to say.
Yes.
One quick thing before I let you go. I know you have a bit of some prizes folks can win. Can you tell me a little bit about that before you go?
Yes. Of course. Thank you for asking. For National Frozen Food Month in March, we are celebrating at easyhomemeals.com. 10,000 in prizes and appliances to win. So enter for free. By the way, I am not eligible, Sydney, so I hope you win. easyhomemeals.com. And I'll see you on social platforms at Chef Jamie Gwen.
All right, Chef Jamie Gwen, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for those delicious, inspiring frozen meals. I know I'll be putting some of those in my back pocket. We appreciate you here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We always here at the Digital Desk look for ways to improve our life physically, mentally, emotionally. Well, there are always ways that we can do things maybe a little bit better, a little bit different based upon some new research out there, some new techniques. And apparently there are some breathing techniques out there that can improve our mental health. And joining me now to talk more about this is Allison White Stewart. She is the supervisor of Living Well Network with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Allison, good to have you on the Digital Desk. How are you this morning? I cannot hear you, Allison.
It's great to be here. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Now I can hear you. I'm much better now. So tell me about these breathing techniques, Allison, that can improve our mental health.
So there's a few breathing techniques that we can discuss today, but the good thing about breathing is that research shows us that it can lower blood pressure, it can calm our minds, it can even change our immune system. And so it's also helpful to regulate our mood, which helps us stay calmer and more effective, right? So one that I really like to do is diaphragmatic breathing. So the diaphragm, of course, is right here. And diaphragmatic breathing is what we call belly breathing, essentially. And one of my favorites is by a man, he's a psychiatrist named Dr. Rahman, and he says if you exhale twice as long as you inhale, that brings you to a calmer state. So if you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 1 second, and breathe out for 8 seconds, and hold again for 1 second, and then repeat that a couple of times, that's going to calm your mind down. So that's one that I really like to do. Another one is just called simple breathing, where you would breathe through your nose, not your chest. So breathe through your nose and then exhale for 4 seconds by making a little sound with your mouth, like a little whooshing sound. So you would breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose and breathe out for 4 seconds. So those are two really good ones. If you Google breathing exercises, there's tons of them on the internet. There's also YouTube videos that will go more in depth into the breathing exercises. But breathing has been shown to really make a difference in your overall health.
Can you tell us some of the reasons why something as simple as just monitor your breathing or trying different breathing techniques, like from, your chest versus your nose and mouth, how these kind of techniques can improve mental health? I mean, I know that, for example, many people out there, if they're about to speak in front of a room, they might take a deep breath to kind of calm their nerves. Is it something like that?
Absolutely. So our mind and our body are connected, right? So just like you said, if we're going and speaking like today, I'm a little nervous talking to you today. So I took a minute and I did some diaphragmatic breathing, and I breathed in for 4 seconds and breathed out for 8 seconds. Again, it gets my body less tense and it brings my mind to a calmer state.
Gotcha. If someone is watching right now, there's thousands of people that watch, and maybe they're at work or in the office, and they want to improve their mental health. Can you do it at work, and what would you recommend at work?
The good thing about breathing exercises, you can do them anywhere. You can do them while you're driving. You can do them while you're sitting at your desk. You can do them when you're laying down trying to go to sleep at night. And so again, it can just take 5 minutes a day. Even 5 minutes a day of breathing, intentional breathing, has been shown to affect our health in a good way. So again, you can do it anywhere. And again, simple breathing might be just breathing through your nose for 4 seconds and breathing out through your mouth for 4 seconds. So those are very simple breathing exercises you can do anytime, anywhere.
I appreciate that, Allison. Is there a place we can go online with Methodist to maybe perhaps learn a little bit more about various breathing techniques?
Sure. So the Living Well Network has a website. It's www.thelivingwellnetwork.org. We have lots of information about a variety of things for your mental health. So it's a really good resource to have. And just go on there and see what we got for you.
All right, Allison White-Stewart, Living Well Network, Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, breathing us into a better mental health state. Thanks so very much. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. As we move from winter to spring, we got to think about ways to fuel our body effectively and just make ourselves overall more nutritious, lead healthier lives. That's what we do on the Digital Desk. We help you live better lives. Joining us now to talk about a nutritious way to fuel that body from winter to spring is a registered dietitian nutritionist, Mia Sin, joining us on the Digital Desk. Mia, where to begin? You know, we talk about a lot, you know, New Year's resolutions. We want to live better, be more fit, have a healthier lifestyle. But, you know, if it's now about to be spring and maybe we've kind of lost that New Year's resolution, how do we get it back? You know, that idea to live healthier. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, one easy place to start is to incorporate a high quality supplement into your wellness routine. And Nature Made just introduced their advanced multivitamin gummies. These are easy to take. They offer 20 essential nutrients, a good source of magnesium, calcium, and all 8 B vitamins to help consumers get more out of their multivitamin. They're easy, effective, and an enjoyable way to bridge those common dietary gaps. They come in 3 varieties for her, for him, and for adults. They're available online at naturemade.com and Walmart, in stores at Walmart, with more stores rolling out later this year.
We're always trying to eat more fruits and vegetables. You know, that is the key, to have kind of a rainbow on your plate. What are some effective ways to do that?
Yes, well, I'm a big fan of Bird's Eye because they make it so easy with their steam fresh vegetables. You can store these in the freezer, pop them in the microwave, and they're ready to enjoy in minutes. Their vegetables are picked at peak ripeness, then flash frozen to lock in key nutrients and have no artificial ingredients, flavors, or colors. Whether it's the broccoli florets or sweet peas, they're a versatile addition to any meal. You can find them in grocery stores nationwide. And then for those seeking a little more variety, Daily Harvest is a great option. They have a range of plant-based options, including smoothies, pops, harvest bowls, grains, pastas, and bites, all made with farm to frozen fruits and vegetables and over 200 unique ingredients with no gluten, dairy, GMOs, gums, or artificial sugar. Really convenient way to enjoy nutritious meals without the hassle of prep. From sweet to savory, breakfast to dinner, and even dessert. You can visit dailyharvest.com and use their store locator to find Daily Harvest near you.
All right, Mia Sin, thanks so very much for joining us on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it. Now, the live look from our High Five camera, as you can see from Midtown Memphis, 67 degrees. We'll be right back with your
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight, heading into your day on Tuesday, that could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we can see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, with temperatures that will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots. Now the Rome a possibility, and of course back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds, so it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures. They'll be generally in the 70s. South breezes coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. I'm giving you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night, into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
All right, that was meteorologist Patrick Ellis giving you the forecast right there, and we'll be checking back in with him later this hour here on the digital desk. I want to go right now to some video into the digital desk from our photographer, Bo Bradley. He was out in Collierville where this story was breaking news for us earlier this morning. The TBI investigating a fatal shooting in Collierville. Police officers made a traffic stop of a speeding vehicle at Poplar Avenue and Schilling Boulevard. That's where this video is from. This happened about 10:30 last night, and during that traffic stop, an officer and the driver, Antoine Booker, a 30-year-old, got into some sort of physical altercation. Investigators say Booker grabbed one of the officer's guns. The other officer then fired his weapon, striking Booker, and the 30-year-old is pronounced dead at the local hospital. Again, TBI investigating this as we speak. We will have more on Action News 5. Our Stephanie Douglas is getting the latest information for you. She'll have more on Action News 5. We're going to take a short break here. Back with more on the digital desk in 60 seconds. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Well, on March 5th, there is going to be tons of fun going down at the Orpheum in downtown Memphis. We are talking about the Disney Princess, the concert. It's coming to Memphis. It's going to be downtown. It's going to be at the Orpheum, and I can just hear the screams right now. Joining me now is Susan Egan. She's part of the cast there, and she knows exactly what I'm talking about with all the screams. Susan, how are you? Good morning.
I'm great, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So tell me about this event. How, first off, is the tour? How's it going so far? And have you ever been to Memphis?
Okay, so yes, I live in Nashville. I'm a Tennessee girl. So yes. And in fact, we toured the country. We played over 100 US cities 2 years ago, and we are launching our 2024 tour on March 5th in Memphis. So you guys are the first to see it.
Fantastic. Awesome. That is terrific. So, so tell us about the show. What can the audience members expect?
Disney Princess the Concert is just what you said. It is a lot of fun in the audience, between the cast and the audience members. It is a celebration of these characters that have informed our lives and our pop culture since Snow White in 1937, all the way through Moana and these modern Disney heroines, and the music that has truly become the soundtrack to our lives. In addition to those characters, we also celebrate some Disney villains, our Disney heroes like Aladdin and Hercules and Kristoff from the Frozen franchise. So it's a lot of great music, and it stars 5 Broadway stars. Many of us have played these roles on Broadway. Myself, I was the original Belle in Beauty and the Beast. I was also the voice of Meg in Disney's Hercules, the animated feature. We've got Brad Gibson, who has a double credit as well. He was Simba in The Lion King on Broadway, and also is Hercules in the new stage adaptation that Disney Theatricals is doing. We have Cindy Winters, who was Nala in The Lion King, and we have Hiba El Sheikh, who was Jasmine in Aladdin. It's tons and tons of fun, and we sing all the songs, but the audience also sings along with us.
Oh, I bet they do. I bet every little girl that has dreamed of being a Disney princess is singing right along.
Funny
That's
about
fantastic.
That. You're not wrong, Andrew, but I got to tell you, do you know who's singing louder? Their moms. Because this concert has become the sort of like Eras tour of princesses for all of those millennials who are reliving their VHS tape glory days.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, so March 5th at the Orpheum. What else can we tell our viewers right now that are perhaps going to go or thinking about going?
Yeah, so in addition to the music on stage, we also have a 45-foot giant LED screen behind us that is full of the animation clips from all of these animated features. So you're seeing the characters live. It really brings back, it's that touchstone to your childhoods. And it's so interesting because everybody sort of identifies with a different character. You know, the grandparents in their generation are loving, you know, some of our OGs like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. And then we've got our, like I say, those 90s queens, the millennials who are loving Ariel and Jasmine and Belle. And then all of our new princesses with Rapunzel and Moana and Tiana. And so it's a lot of eye candy on stage. In addition to the animation, we've got special effects, and maybe something even special happens during Let It Go at the very end of the show. Maybe there's some weather that happens inside the theater.
All right. Well, that's what we call a tease, Susan. Yes. So tell us, what cast member do you play? Are you allowed to tell us?
Yes, so I was Broadway's original Belle. We sing, the 5 of us, we sing the music from all the Disney princesses, the characters that we, you know, we're lucky enough to play in our lives. So I get to sing Belle's music, of course, and Meg's music from the animated feature, because I was that voice. But I also get to sing a lot of other things. Rapunzel, I get to sing some villain songs. We all kind of take turns. But what's so exciting about the cast that we are able to bring to Memphis is that these are stars direct from Broadway. So in addition to singing this music, we get to pull the curtain back a little bit so that you guys can see what it was like behind the stage to play some of these characters. We tell stories where maybe the Beast accidentally pulled Belle's wig off during a show, or maybe there was a show when that magic carpet didn't exactly fly. Like, what happened? Live theater is so exciting, and this show gives us an opportunity to share those behind the scenes stories, both the funny ones and the really heartfelt ones.
It sounds amazing. You've sold me, certainly, and I don't have any little kids at home anymore. So,
well, it's a
what
big
else?
date night too. You know, we've had a lot of couples propose to each other at our show.
What?
I don't know how it turned into that, but it's become a very romantic evening too. I'm just saying.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else we can touch on before we let you go, Susan? This sounds terrific. Again, March 5th at the Orpheum.
Yeah, come and enjoy. This is really, whether you are a seasoned concert goer, you're going to love, the orchestrations that we have, the sound that we have. It is the highest quality. Disney only does things at that level. But it's also that great introduction if this is your first concert. We joke and sort of say, like, in a couple years they'll buy tickets to Taylor Swift, but we'll be their first intro into what it's like to be in a live concert. We also encourage you to dress up as your favorite character. I spend a lot of time at different Comic-Cons because of the work that I do for Disney Animation. And we want this show to be another opportunity for you to dress up as that character. And whether you're the little girl or the millennial or the college-age theater girl who wants to dress up as Rapunzel or Tiana, I will say we've also had dads fully dressed up as Elsa with a sign around his neck that says, "Let it bro." So, the invitation is open to everybody.
You are giving me ideas. Shh, Susan, thank you. Well, listen, if every cast member is like you, then this show is going to be high energy, high level action for 2 hours or so, right?
It is. It's an hour and 45 minutes. It's the perfect length. It's great for kids, great for adults. And like I say, it is such a celebration. We have now played, since we toured the US, we've played 18 countries on 5 continents. And I think the thing that is the most informative to me as being on the stage in all of those countries is how similar the reactions are, whether we are in the Middle East or Asia or Australia. All those kids are singing Let It Go with the English lyrics. They are just so fully into it. And it's really a testament to the idea that Disney really brings people together and shows off our similarities. It's such a beautiful message today. And like I say, if you're that grandparent, you're going to score a lot of points. If you're that dad, you're going to score a lot of points, whether it's with your wife, who's the millennial, or your kids. Come out. It's a lot of fun. There are tickets at every level, and the Orpheum's such a beautiful space. So come join us. And we're launching the tour with you. I couldn't think of a better city to do it in.
You have sold it, Susan. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Good luck on the tour. Fantastic news. You're kicking it off here in Memphis. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one.
The new year always feels like a fresh start with the promises of a new you, right? Someone with better habits, better intentions. But as we set those goals last month, well, life gets in the way of the progress. And certainly this is true when it comes to our financial fitness. I'm joined now by someone to get us on track once again when it comes to our financial health. Joining me now is Natalie Torres Haddad. She is a financial expert. She's going to get us on the right track when it comes to our financial health in the new year. Natalie, good morning. Where do we start with this? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Starting today, right? Setting a game plan. What does your financial situation look like now, and seeing what it is that you want to do to make the right money moves for 2024. So not avoiding your finances like you might have throughout the year. Tax season is basically the time that you're forced to face them, and having that mindset, guess what? You'll be able to make the right money moves as you move forward.
So tax season, we know it's officially here. What are some common mistakes that we should avoid when we're doing our taxes this year?
Yeah, some common mistakes can result from not being organized or properly filing your taxes, right? So maybe you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table by not including those tax write-offs, those deductions, or life-changing things that have happened in your life. Maybe you got married or had a baby. All of these areas can bring you a bigger tax return. So who doesn't want that, right? And this is when I tell people consider setting up a direct deposit as well. So if you're working with a partner like Chime, then guess what? You can actually get your return 6 days earlier. And that can make a world of a difference, especially if you're trying to reach those financial goals or paying off some debts as well.
Natalie, how do we use this time of year, tax season, getting our financial orders straight and organized? How do we use this time of year to better our fiscal health?
Well, I'm going to advise use it wisely and invest in yourself. And I understand sometimes people see it as free money, so they end up sending things that they don't really need or bring value to your life. So, asking yourself that question, what is that you want to see change for 2024? And understanding creating a game plan is going to help you. And if you are getting that tax return, like why not use that supplemental money to, fund your emergency fund or pay off some debt, right? The credit card bill. Or maybe your goal is to increase your credit history for 2024. Why not do that, right? And with the secure card, that actually is going to really help you, right? And Chime does have a credit builder credit card that's really going to help you be able to reach those goals a lot quicker. So I highly recommend investing in yourself, and why not have that game plan in place?
So where do most people make the biggest mistakes when it comes to trying to better their finances?
Yes, the biggest mistakes, like I said, is sometimes just not, filing properly, but also not having everything in one place. So I always say, if you're going to be organized, have a designated folder, right? Having all your documents, your W-2, your 1099, all of those paperwork together before you actually submit your paperwork, and filing on time, right? So making sure you don't miss that deadline. And I think sometimes those little mistakes can really cost in the end. And so if you're not having a direct deposit linked up, like right to your checking account to get that federal tax return, you're missing out on a, valuable time that you could be using that money to invest wisely.
What else can we talk about, Natalie, to get our finances in order in the new year?
Yeah, make it less, like I say, less stressful, more enjoyable. So, it can be an overwhelming feeling when you're dealing with your taxes. And so if you put something like in place, I say it's my spa day, but it's really like including a candle, having your tea, having some relaxing music to make the process a lot more enjoyable. And also, like I said, be patient with yourself, because it's not something that, overnight, all of a sudden you're great with your finances, but having the right partners in place, making sure you're keeping accountable for meeting that deadline and making sure that everything is where it should be before you submit that paperwork can, go a long way for you. Less stress more than anything.
Yes, we need less stress in our lives for sure. Natalie Torres Haddad, we appreciate you coming on the digital desk and talking about ways to help and better our financial health. Thanks for
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We're looking ahead to a risk for some rain and storms that could impact the area overnight tonight heading into your day on Tuesday that could slow you down a little bit. Don't get so caught up in the lines, but there is a chance, mainly in eastern Arkansas, that we could see an isolated gusty shower thunderstorm, maybe a hail-producing shower thunderstorm to go along with it as well. But before that happens, warm, muggy, a bit breezy as well, with temperatures that will warm up into the upper 70s this afternoon, approaching 80 in a couple spots. Now the Rome a possibility, and of course back and forth between clouds and sunshine after some foggy banks lift over the next little bit. As we go through the overnight period, that's when we start to see a little better chance for some showers and storms beginning to erupt across portions of eastern Arkansas. Here comes our frontal boundary getting a little closer to us, brings us some rain and storms. Super Tuesday tomorrow could have some impacts of showers and storms across the area as one band of showers and storms works its way down to the south. Another one trying to develop to the north will also start to ease southward. In between that, though, you actually might see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through the clouds. So it won't be at all doom and gloom tomorrow, but needless to say, you'll probably want to have an umbrella nearby to you if you are going to be out and about on your Tuesday. Speaking of Super Tuesday, again, best rain chances early on. After lunchtime, a lull in the activity, variably cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s at this point. Now, if you've got plans going out there to the polls, again, for Tennessee and Arkansas, you're in the primary voting tomorrow rather. Mississippi, you're voting for primary elections next Tuesday, okay? But polls will be open 7 to 7. Of course, you got the temperatures that'll be generally in the 70s. South breezes coming in around, say, 10 miles per hour. Of course, it's quite warm as of late. It will keep it going throughout much of this week, but eventually another blast of cooler air will drop into the mid-south. That'll take us into the weekend. That comes by way of another system. We'll give you a first alert to another system that brings us better rain chances. They'll start to move in our direction. This is Thursday morning. Rain just west of the area. We'll start to see more of that building in through the course of Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday. Friday could be a wet go of things. Showers and storms could be quite heavy across portions of central and south Mississippi. Not only that, the risk for even a few stronger storms down that way. We'll just be dealing with rain showers, some thunderstorms, and it's in and out of here fairly quickly once it gets off to the east. Now, we'll probably have to tangle with rain probably Thursday night, Friday night, into early Saturday, trending drier through Saturday, and then drier most definitely heading into Sunday as that system starts to pull away. I think we get out of our unsettled pattern into next week where the weather kind of calms down, high pressure builds in, and the weather pretty quiet for us. Warm and breezy, variably cloudy skies here on this Monday. Again, Super Tuesday, rain chances overnight tonight leading into Tuesday. 72 the high. We'll go 60s for highs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uptick in rain chances again Thursday night into Friday, and then we go into the weekend. Saturday looks to be cooler, clouds, and some sunshine, but more in the way of clouds. And then we'll get brighter heading into your Sunday. Don't forget, we also had the time change this weekend. 7 p.m. sunsets on the way soon enough. Actually, we'll get 6 p.m. sunsets this week. Of course, that will then lead into a 7 p.m. sunset with the time change going forward, 1 hour Saturday night into Sunday.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. According to some brand new data released by SEMrush, over the last 2 years, there has been a huge surge in Americans wanting to turn their passion projects into paychecks, their side hustles, into full-time money. And the data reveals that since January 2020, a 421% increase in searches for side hustles to make money. Now, we're about to talk to someone about this very issue, about how she turned her side hustle into a full-time job making 6 figures. Joining me now is Megan Overholt. And Megan, good morning. How are you?
Morning. It's Morgan, by the way, Morgan Overholt.
Morgan, I'm so sorry. I appreciate you joining
No problem.
us. So tell me about your story a little bit, because so many people, as you're right, so many people have decided, hey, what can I do as a side hustle to make full-time income?
Yeah, well, I was actually kind of the lucky one of the lucky ones, to be honest with you. I am no stranger to reinventing myself. Back in 2017, I actually quit my full-time job in the normal corporate world back before it was popular. Essentially rage quit, had all the fun I could stand, got to do something else. But back then, all I really knew to turn to was freelance. And that was a lot better than what I was doing. Do not get me wrong, but the problem is that freelance is still inherently flawed because it still requires that your butt is in that seat every single day and that you're like on the clock and you have deadlines to meet, you've got clients you need to reply to all the time. And it wasn't quite giving me that freedom that I really craved. I had toyed before with the idea of launching something that could produce real live passive income in addition to my freelance before, but I never really took the leap until the pandemic hit. The pandemic, as a lot of y'all know, was inspiring for reinvention. So while I wasn't a stranger to it, I still was very new to the world, had no idea what I was doing, learned from the best, and here we are today. In fact, last year, our second full year in business, we surpassed 6 million page views on thesmokies.com, which is our travel blog website, and we produced over $200,000 worth of revenue. So it's pretty incredible.
That is incredible, and congratulations to you for doing all of that. I have to admit, I did those searches too, and I heard that blogging is one of those great opportunities out there for people to get started and really kind of turn it into a money-making career. How did you do it? If you had to look at some of the key factors of turning that blog into a six-figure income, how did you do it?
Well, honestly, again, I'm no stranger to figuring out how to reinvent myself and how to launch a successful company. And one of the key things, and I think this applies to every single industry and anything that you want to do in life really, is that you identify the person who's doing the thing that you really want to do, who's doing it successfully, I should add, and you learn what they're doing. And so what we did is we started joining all of these blogging communities online and really looking at people who were already making six-figure, even seven-figure incomes. And we asked, hey, what are you guys doing? And two words kept coming up for us. It was SEO and SEMrush. And at the time I was familiar with what SEO was. I thought it was just kind of like sprinkling in little keywords on your website and hoping for the best, hoping you'll rank on Google. But SEMrush was kind of the missing component because I found out, news to me, that there are real tools you can use online that actually tell you exactly what people are looking for. It tells you what kinds of questions that people are typing into Google on a daily basis. And so our real key to success was figuring out exactly what those questions were and then answering those questions effectively. And the second that we started doing that, our traffic skyrocketed. It was incredible. I think on like month one, went from having maybe a couple hundred hits to just a few months later, I think June of 2020, that same year, like I said, the pandemic year, I think we're about like 300,000, 400,000 hits. It was crazy. And it kept growing from there. So a pretty big deal. Pay attention to what other people are doing and do that thing.
That does sound amazing, and that's great stuff. When it comes to turning it, when you saw, okay, so you did the SEO, looking for what search items people are looking for. Did you have to write a lot? Because I've always heard that okay, if I'm going to start a blog, I just have to put tons of writing in. I mean, how many hours did you spend in the front end of this project?
Well, here's the really cool thing. So luckily, again, we were some of the lucky ones in the pandemic. We really only had about like a week or two that was kind of slow, which is really when I launched the website in partnership with my sister, Elena, and my husband, James. But after that, our freelance business really picked up and we looked at each other and we're like, hey, look, we got to find time to also work on this website without losing our, at the time, primary income, which was the freelance income. And so we kind of just dedicated one day a week to knocking out as many articles as we possibly could. And we did it that way for an entire year, essentially. Almost an entire year, I didn't have a 2-day weekend. I mean, look, y'all, anything worth having in life is going to take a little bit of hard work. That's what I tell people all day long. Nothing in this life worth having is going to be that easily achievable. So I would say as far as quantifiable hours were concerned, I would say we were each putting in about 8 to 10 hours a week to really get it going. And And now, as it's been growing, we've been able to really integrate it into our normal work weeks. In fact, it's sort of even taken over a lot of the freelance that we were doing before. The script is kind of flipped now. Before we were doing like 25% blogging, now it's more like 75% blogging and 25% freelance, which is pretty cool. But the great thing about what we've done is that it did exactly what I set out to do, right? Now, when I take a day off, I'm still making money. Now, when I go on a week vacation, I still get notifications every day that I'm making money. So that passive income, or more accurately, perhaps I should refer to it as semi-passive, because it still requires a lot of work to get it up and going. It's not a set it and forget it type thing, but it's still making me money, even if I step away. And that's really the freedom that I've craved from day one, right? That's the ultimate freedom. What more can you possibly ask for?
So you said 8 to 10 hours a week is generally how much you spent on the blog. When did you start seeing significant income jumps? I mean, did it start at, I don't know, 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, and then just 1 month or two just jumped from there?
Yeah, like I said before, it was really identifying that correct tool to use. Like, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what SEO is. Everybody will love to tell you they can get you on the first page of Google. It's just like some kind of magic thing. I thought I knew what SEO was as a freelance graphic designer because my clients asked for it all the time. I thought it was just sprinkling in keywords, but the key was using those 8 to 10 hours that I was talking about earlier effectively, right? Because at one point when we first launched, we were just kind of taking a guess. Like, I always thought the way that you were supposed to do it, or was the way that you were supposed to do it. But after we really started finding the correct tools, and for us, it was SEMrush, and that's kind of one of the industry leading platforms out there if you guys want to look into it. But one of the things that we did was we actually started doing the research, and that showed us specifically what we should be writing. And that's when we really started to see things kind of skyrocket from there, right? So instead of just using those 8 to 10 hours every week that we had to take guesses at what people may or may not like, what Google may or may not like, we were able to really hone in and make sure that this is what people were looking for, make sure this is what people would like, because it turns out the data was really there all along. So for us, it was learning to use that time efficiently and intelligently and making database decisions versus just what we wanted to write about. And that's really when we started to see the results skyrocket. And I would say within a couple of months of adopting that strategy, that's when we really saw things start to take off.
When you first did the blog, Morgan, was it something where you were getting income one way, and then now are you getting income another way? Give me some detail on how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the other funny thing. When we first launched, we had absolutely no idea how blogs made money. To tell you the truth, probably like most Americans, I thought blogs were something that we had back in the GeoCities days in the 90s or the early 2000s. I had no idea that they were still a thing that was capable of producing income. It was actually my husband, who was one of my partners on the blog, who discovered an ad network called AdThrive and Mediavine, or two different ad networks called AdThrive and Mediavine. It took a few weeks to get accepted into those programs. Today we started out with Mediavine, switched to AdThrive, but there's a variety out there. Those are just two of the top dogs essentially. But once we got there, we were able to really tap into this programmatic ad network, which produced this incredible revenue every single day. So when you go to our website, if you type in thesmokies.com, you're going to see that there's a ton of ads that pop up. And that's kind of what that programmatic ad network is providing us. That's where most of our income has come from. But there's also this wide world of affiliate sales, right? So for instance, we are a travel blog. There's a lot of attractions in the area near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, like Dollywood and Anakista, and a variety of museums like the Titanic Museum out there that have these programs that you can enter called affiliate programs, where you help them sell a ticket online by like writing a great review about them or saying, hey, look, I highly recommend doing X, Y, and Z in the Smokies. And if people click the link when you suggest to buy a ticket, you get a little tiny kickback. And so we did ads first, we did affiliate marketing second, and going forward, we're actually going to be doubling down on the affiliates, and we hope to release some digital downloads later this year. But there's a variety of different ways that bloggers make money. Those are just kind of a handful of the ones that worked for us very early on. And of course, there's so many more that I feel like we can tap into in the future. So I'm excited to see where this whole thing goes. I think we're just getting started.
That sounds great. I mean, congratulations once again. You're doing such a great job, Morgan. And I think this is helping a lot of people just kind of understand how it works. A couple more questions here. So, how much do you make now? If you don't mind me asking, how much does the blog make now on a monthly basis? And then how much did it, initially start? Because you didn't start right away making six figures. It was a gradual increase. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I remember we made our first $6 within about a month of launching the actual blog site. And we were jumping up and down in the living room like it was the most important $6 we had ever made in our life. A couple months later, the first month, and that was an affiliate sale. A couple months later, the first month after we launched on an ad network, I believe our first month's earnings were something like $400 or $500 if memory serves correctly. Fast forward to today, I believe our largest month to date, and of course it varies as we are a seasonal travel blog. The Smokies are a little bit less trafficked in like January and February. We peak in the summer and into the winter, but our highest month so far has been around $35,000, $36,000 in that month. So yeah, that kind of shows you what's possible. And we suspect we're going to be hitting closer to $50,000, maybe even $60,000 by this December. So yeah, like I said, we're just getting started.
Wow.
To go from zero hits in the first month, essentially, to, I believe in our first full year, we passed almost hit 2 million. And then in our second full year to pass 6 million. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping that we'll start to see that 10 million digit roll in as far as page views are concerned, hopefully in 2022. We'll see. We'll at least get close.
And it's just focusing on the East Tennessee Smokies area, or are you venturing out from that?
Yes, sir. For the most part, of course, the Smokies, the Smokies and the Blue Ridge Mountains were all kind of intertwined, as you know, in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. So we sort of cover those areas a little bit. Every once in a while, we talk about Tennessee as a state, but our primary market, we've also done a few stories on Memphis, but our primary market is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the surrounding areas, the attractions, etc. That was also a model that we had never really seen anybody else do before. So that was a bit of a gamble, to be perfectly honest with you. We didn't really know that a regional travel blog would work. All you ever hear about are, travel bloggers that go all over the world and explore. But to us, we kind of learned that regional travel was even better, even, I dare say, easier. I don't want to use that word. It's been a lot of hard work, but I dare say easier because we get to target this one area that we know and we love. I grew up in East Tennessee. My husband grew up in East Tennessee. My little sister obviously grew up in East Tennessee. So this is an area that we're intimately familiar with. This is an area that we spent our childhood in. I mean, y'all, if you could have told me when I was like 6 that one day I would make money going to Dollywood, I'd have been like, what? It's like, that's not even my dream, and I've essentially turned that dream into a reality. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. All right. So are there other blogs that you look at and really kind of like or maybe take some ideas from? I mean, are there other ones that you kind of emulate maybe and kind of say, they really taught me a lot of things?
That's one of the tools I was talking about earlier when I talk about SEO. The tool that I mentioned earlier, SEMrush, will actually show you competitive data. And we certainly integrate that competitive data and fill in gaps that our competitors are not addressing, fill in questions that our competitors are not answering. In fact, our main competitors now are actually some of the city and locally run websites. And I believe it was last month, we even started surpassing some of those city-run websites who have entire staffs. I think over 40, 50 people, I believe, for the top website working on those. So to bring in more traffic than even them, it's pretty impressive. But to be honest with you, if I were to give you a second giant piece of advice, which is applicable to both blogging and life, is to worry less about what your competitors are doing and worry more about what they're not doing, right? We never seek to copy anybody. I've never been a copycat of anybody. I want to know what I want to know how they're finding success. I want to know the strategies and the tools that they're using and explore those on my own. But I think it's really important to be the red tree in the forest, to be the standout, to do something unusual. Because if you're just a copycat, all you're going to be is a cheap clone at the end of the day.
Very nice, very nice. There are a lot of people taking notes in this newsroom, just hearing you talk right now. And I'm sure when people watch this on in a taped interview later on our website, they're going to be wanting to share this as well. When someone is looking at starting a blog, I don't know, can you give like maybe the top 3 things that they need to do right off the bat when they want to start and say, I want to do just what Morgan is doing? You know, a lot of people like to say, write what you know. Is that one of those things? Did you always like to travel?
Oh yeah, I've always loved to travel, but to me, it's a little bit, there's 2 different components to it. A lot of people say follow your passion, and I say that's great. Follow your passion, but make sure you can make money with that passion, right? We've got a lot of passion. There are several hobbies I have that I'm not very good at, right? I don't think I should probably start a blog on those. There's a lot. I love watching Netflix for a living. You know, there's probably a way to make money doing that, but the thing is that we found a part of our passion. We found one of our passion projects that we knew there was a big audience for. And so that's the piece of advice I would give you there as far as following your passion. Follow your passion, but make sure it makes money. As far as the 3 pieces of advice I would give to brand new bloggers would be as follows. Don't get lost in the details. Launch a simple website. It doesn't have to be the prettiest thing you've ever seen. Just make sure it's a simple theme. Make sure it's fast. That's what's more important because people want to make sure it's loading really quickly without any kind of delays. The second thing I would say is, yes, get comfortable with writing and get comfortable using those tools that I talked about, because that was the real difference maker for us. Before, we were just sort of, when we first launched, writing whatever we thought we should write about because we had no data to go on, formatting it however we wanted to format it because we didn't know any better. So research those tools that will really give you those guidelines to show you exactly how to write, will actually give you a score on your writing and predict with almost 90% certainty exactly where you're going to rank on Google, which is pretty awesome. And then 3, make sure you turn that traffic into dollars. That's of course what you got to do at the end of the day. So research those ad networks that I mentioned earlier, research those affiliate programs, can think about what kind of digital downloads that you can sell. Those are 3 of the most popular ways. Courses, if you're doing something more on the business side, those are also very popular right now, online courses. So yeah, those are probably the 3 things that I would recommend. Don't get lost in the details, build a simple website, learn how to write articles that Google will love and that your readers will love, and then figure out how to make the money, honey.
Sorry, Morgan. Listen, I really appreciate everything you've said. It's a great conversation. I found it very interesting. Congratulations on your success. And I really think a lot of your tips have really helped other would-be bloggers out there. So appreciate the conversation very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. We all know that age is just a number, right? But for millions of older Americans, particularly those in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, if you are looking for a job, the landscape is very difficult and very challenging. Not only are some of those candidates looking for a job, but they face age bias and discrimination. Older workers, of course, bring all kinds of expertise, maturity, perspective, yet they are often overlooked. Let's talk about this issue with Carly Rozowski. She is with AARP, joining us on the digital desk this morning. Carly, how bad is it for some of those older Americans in their 50s, 60s, and 70s if they need a job? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, many older workers 50 plus do feel that age discrimination can hurt their chances of getting a new job or advancing in their career. New AARP research shows that 64% of workers 50 and older feel and believe they've been discriminated against based on age in the workplace today.
You know, I hate to hear that because more and more people are living longer. They're living better lives, longer and healthier quality of life lives as well. 50 now versus 50, 30, 40 years ago is a far different age bracket and how people are moving around and getting along and the kind of lifestyle they have. Do you have tips for maybe some of those job seekers of older Americans to kind of age-proof their resume?
Sure. We want older workers' resume to reflect the skills and experience they bring and not their age. So we recommend your resume is 2 pages or less. We make sure that the most relevant and recent experience is highlighted. And while you want to include your credentials, you don't have to include your graduation dates. Don't include your street address. And if you're hanging on to an old AOL or Hotmail email account, switch to a more modern service like Gmail. And one best practice that not only older job seekers, but job seekers of any age could benefit from is to bot-proof your resume. So organizations are using bots or these AI-powered tools to do an initial screening to eliminate candidates before they're even seen by an actual person. So in order to get past that initial screening, you want to use industry-specific terms or specific keywords from the job listings that you're interested in.
Do you have examples for us?
Well, terms like digital, terms like, and skills, good communications. Digital native is actually a term we stay away from because older workers tend to not feel that they could apply for a job that describes someone that they're looking for as digital native. But digital skills or skills that they've acquired throughout their career, like good communication, leadership, mentoring, some of those soft skills that older workers tend to bring to the job force are ones that you want to highlight.
Has there been a shift, Carly? Maybe more companies wanting to hire older workers out there? Are there certain initiatives that employers are putting in place for that? Tell me more.
Yeah, so here at AARP, we have an initiative called our Employer Pledge Program that recognizes older experienced workers. And thousands of organizations have signed the pledge since it started in 2012, with almost 500 signing just last year alone. And given employers' need for talent, especially in this tight labor market, it does make good business sense to hire experienced workers. Research also shows that 77% of all workers value their older colleagues for the skills and experience that they're bringing to the job.
That's great news. Great news to hear about that. Can we talk about networking for a lot of those older Americans looking for a job?
Yes, networking is key to a job search. So in conversations with friends or family members, coworkers or former coworkers, make sure to let them know that you're looking for new job opportunities and get their advice or their suggestions. Also, if you're not on LinkedIn, now's a good time to join. You can stand out to employers by making sure you include a profile photo and filling out the skills section. LinkedIn members that have 5 skills listed are 27 times more likely to be discovered by recruiters. They also have groups you can join that provide both virtual and in-person networking opportunities.
Tell me what the landscape is like for older Americans. I mean, I know you just mentioned that companies are hiring older folks here and there. Is it good for them? Is it a good market for them? I know we mentioned off the top that there's some age bias and some age discrimination for some of them out there.
Yeah, it's a very strong labor market and unemployment is at historic lows. But we did ask people over 50 earlier this year if they were looking to make a shift in their job in 2024, and about 14% said yes. And making more money was the main reason, but also wanting to feel valued and looking for more flexible work arrangements. 86% of them did feel confident that they could make a change in 2024. So I believe it's still a positive environment out there for job seekers.
This has been a great conversation, Carly. I appreciate it. Tell us about some free resources that AARP has for older Americans that are looking for work, that are looking for a new job.
Throughout the month of February, AARP is doing free virtual workshops. And you can register today for a day and time that works best for your schedule at aarp.org/jobsnational.
Okay, Carly Rozowski with AARP, we really appreciate the conversation with you and the tips for all those people looking for a job, 50s and beyond. Thanks so very much. That does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. We got Action News 5 midday coming up at the top of the hour with Ariana Poindexter. She'll take you through the latest on our various news stories that we are covering, and then join us again once again tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, for another edition of the Digital Desk. In the meantime, enjoy the beautiful day outside, 72 degrees at 10:55. Live look from our high five camera.